Talking phone? Okay.
You have to fill in.
She said Kathy Hoco okayed it.
She finally okay? Oh, Kathy Hoco.
Yeah, it's something different.
Oh, I
This
know.
is for us working in the hazardous, in the pen, in the COVID.
I didn't work for the pen. I'm eligible or not?
Yeah, you probably are. You'd be surprised how much.
First set people get it.
I think everybody. I think she's gonna do everybody.
No, because both shifts work through the whole pandemic, not just first shift. You
Yeah.
didn't get that one.
You don't have to be in here in 20. You could have been here in 21. It's okay.
Yeah, right? Both of us, both shifts work
I'm
through
just
the whole
gonna make sure
pandemic.
that it's coming through on the
Okay.
recording,
Just
and I'll be right back.
You working
All right.
hospital? You working out?
My clinic was open every day, even though.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah, I was
It
here
don't
since,
matter. All of
my
us get
clinic was open the whole time.
I don't know, I thought you said this.
No. She did not say that. Kathy Hoco did not say that.
My clinic was
She
open through the
said
pandemic.
everyone that did hazardous pay that stayed
That's
on
when
the
everybody
job
had to be
is
6
gonna get.
6 feet apart, and
Yeah.
and the people that was working, it was like
Okay, we're in
50%
business.
50%. Some come 2, 3 days, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, you good.
Okay. So this is a picture of an occupied patient room.
Mm-hmm.
So what items would you pay particular attention to in this room?
What?
What items would you pay a particular attention to? Say if you're cleaning the room.
The trash, the telephone,
I made a tray on the.
The tray,
Table. Job, but if they finish with it, I try to get it off the table for them,
and her,
so they can have a little room for.
handrail.
Sometimes
Handrail.
the nurses be in there, they be, they'll walk by, they come in the room and see it, but they won't
They
grab the
won't,
room unless they tell them to, and I guess they be waiting on the aide to do it, the aide be thinking the nurse gonna do it, and
They just sit there until we do it.
I'll just do it.
Then what could we do it? Handrails, phones.
Yep, the
trays.
handrails for sure. A lot of times when the doctor comes in, he'll lean up against the handrail, put his hands on there. That's why even though the patient's in the bed, we still want to clean just the top of the handrail. Because then when visitors come in, they usually go up to the bed and they touch, that's what they do, they touch the handrail. The chair, people might be coming in there,
Yeah,
sitting on
chair.
there. And even though in an occupied room, we won't necessarily change the curtains, but we might want to check to make sure they're not stained. Make sure that that's splattered on there, that we have to do to change it out.
I pay attention to walls, so I always look
Yeah.
for splatters and stuff on the wall.
Yep, that's very important, especially in C-diff rooms.
Mm-hmm. Especially in CG,
Yep.
especially in them bathrooms.
So we're gonna watch a video. So we're gonna watch a short video about an environmental service technician who faced with a common situation. As we watch it, we'll pause it a few times to talk about how would you handle the situation if it was you.
Okay.
Videos. Module 7.
As a healthcare environmental services technician, it's important that you interact with the patient every time you enter an occupied room.
See, enter.
Kaylee is about to clean the room of a non-English speaking patient who recently had surgery. How would you handle this situation if you were in Kaylee's shoes? Kaylee has just entered the room. What would you do next?
I do my,
So what would you do? You-
tell her who I am and what I'm here for.
I'm a housekeeper.
But we said she doesn't speak English.
Get temporary, somebody who speaks,
Get an interpreter.
yeah.
I mean.
We can't do that.
No, we can't have her just to clean the room.
You know what I did? I made because the guy was deaf,
Mhm.
and I made a sign.
Oh,
And I
nice,
said,
yeah.
hello, my name is,
Yeah, that's
and then I said, I
perfect.
come to clean room,
Mhm.
and I carried it with me every day.
Yeah,
Oh, I
And
just
then-
wave and just
yeah.
start doing it, wave at them.
No, do you?
Yeah, I mean, wave at them
If
and
they
then
don't
start
speak
doing the
English,
job. They'll speak
like
English.
that's like a universal.
Cause a lot of them
line.
don't speak English. Some of them don't. You just wave and like
And
start
start
doing the
cleaning.
job.
Maybe show them your disinfectant bucket, say, then point to you and then do like that.
I do do
Maybe
that.
like some
I do
gestures,
do that.
and then they'll probably be like, oh, you're here to clean the room.
Gestures.
Yeah, like the gang used to be like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cause the nurses gotta deal with it too, you know what I mean? So they just go in there, they don't get nobody,
Mhm.
start doing their job.
Kaylee greets the patient as she normally would.
Hi, my name's Kaylee. I'm here from Environmental Services. I'm
She's
here
careful to
clean your
speak
room,
clearly.
If that's okay with you, and you can just let me know if
So-
you need anything.
Okay, gracias.
No, see?
As you clean a
Like
patient's
gracias.
room, it's important that you are aware of the patient's needs and look for situations where you can help. Do you notice anything you could do to make this patient more comfortable?
So you see that, so she noticed that the patient was reaching for something. So what would you do in that situation?
Go get a nurse?
No,
No,
we get
but
it to
try to help her.
Yeah, because what she was doing is, she already had it in her hand. She was reaching for something on her table.
Yeah, so try
The
to
patient
help
needs
her.
her water.
pull her tray over and try to get it.
Kaylee took a moment to get the patient's water
Let me
so
get
the
your
patient
water
could be
for
more
you.
comfortable.
Because you gotta take the gloves off.
Yes.
And then what?
You
You wanna
know,
say-
somebody
You may not
wants something,
understand what a patient
gloves
needs.
off
What would you do to help this patient?
Need a blanket, sir.
And so it looked like the patient was freezing a little bit.
first.
So what would you do?
Go get them.
Go get a warm blanket?
Yeah,
So it's okay, we're not crossing the
I have one
line.
question.
This is not across the line?
People
No.
waiting on a waiting room,
Mhm.
by the chair,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, "Can I have one blanket?" And then I didn't think I was supposed to give them, and then I got them go to the.
She's a visitor.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. In the waiting rooms, we don't necessarily go around giving blankets, but if the patient's in a room,
In a room.
yeah, in a bed, they might wanna, especially with the, whatever medications they're on, they make them a little colder. So, so that one is, you can't get a blanket. You're not overstepping though, like you said, Rebecca, for those things.
Becky,
Cause
you overstep on a lot of.
I do.
But-
I mean, but I'm trying to correct it now.
Yeah,
I know.
like you can't, if the patient didn't have water, you can't give them water because they might not be allowed to have it.
Right,
But because they already had it right there on their table, you could just you're just handing them what was on their table.
okay.
Cause the tray table probably got moved when maybe a nurse came in and checked their vitals or something, and they just didn't push it back into where the patient can reach it.
Even if you don't understand the patient perfectly, watch for visual cues to tell you how the patient is feeling.
Oh, would you like another blanket?
Sí, por favor.
What'd she say? Yes?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, she said yes,
Oh,
please.
Yes, please.
Okay.
While cleaning the room may be your primary job, it isn't your only responsibility. What else should you do after you've finished cleaning a room?
Thank
You
them.
should always check to see if the patient needs anything else from you.
I'm all finished cleaning your room now, but is there anything I can do for you before I leave?
No, muchas gracias.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Simple gestures of kindness can go a long way in making a patient's experience more pleasant.
So that was a great video, because even though the patient may not speak the same language, maybe you could, a smile goes a long way, a little wave goes a long way, and just trying to take those cues, like they said. If the patient's like doing like this, that means that's cold wherever you go.
Right?
Yeah. And if someone's trying to read something, they can't reach it, that's one of the things that's kind of like a universal thing.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit more about specifically, let's talk about important issues that environmental service technicians may face. One is, what does it mean to respect diversity? What do you think that means?
Where you at?
Understanding different.
7.15.
Different people and different things that they.
Yep,
Where-
I'm just asking a question, yep,
Yeah, just understanding people.
yeah.
Like you
I'm-
said, their looks, their vision.
Yeah.
Different places.
I understand that people look different, people come from different places and speak different languages. Dealing with the language barrier by watching for visual cues helps.
Okay.
Being aware of maintaining the patient's dignity, no matter what the issue is. That's very important.
Okay.
And then we want to respond and anticipate the request, like being aware of the patient's mood or feelings. If you see like the patient's, really sad or something, maybe, just give a comforting smile. You don't want to go overboard and go in there super all happy and they're not having a good day. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You want to empathize, if the patient's not feeling, well, you want to say, oh, I'm sorry, you're not feeling well today. You just want to show a little more that you care and not just you're here just doing your job.
Yes.
You want to be aware and maintain already went over that one, being aware of the surroundings in the room, if the water's too far away, if the temperatures are cold, etc. Those are good things to help with customer service in the occupied rooms. And also showing sensitivity to the patients in discomfort or pain. Like if the patient's saying, oh, I'm in pain, you can't do anything to help them with the pain, but you can say, I'll grab the nurse for you.
Yes, definitely.
And maybe just let the nurse know that this patient, is complaining that they're having some discomfort, and then they can go and talk to the patient. Just asking if they need anything else while you're there. And if they say, oh, yes, I need something that you can't provide, just letting the right person know, just letting the nurse know. Just tell them, oh, okay, I'll make sure I'll get the nurse and let them know that you need that. And then maybe just say, oh, I informed nurse so-and-so, she'll be in shortly. We want to also talk about tasks that are beyond the daily cleaning, like greeting the customer through extra tasks, like things you do extra all the time, Rebecca, in your area.
Yeah, laundry, what you name it.
Yeah, we don't, because you have long-term patients there.
Yeah.
Your patients could sometimes be weeks, months.
Yes.
So where like Mo on his floor, those patients are only there a day or two, so they don't necessarily need laundry. But there's probably some things you get Mo for them when the patients are in the rooms, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like what's the example of things that they ask for?
Sometimes they ask for like towels.
An extra towel or
you know,
something?
rags, or they might ask me to take the tray.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might say, can I get them some ice or some water or something?
Yeah, that might.
And if I see the nurse is busy, if I see a light been on for a minute and ain't nobody trying to, and I ain't doing it, I just want to grab it.
Yeah.
Don't be no big deal.
Yeah, me too. I do
And
it too.
sometimes they want a juice or something, I can hear the nurse be like, well, we don't have none in the nutrition room.
Instead
And
of going
I might
to
hear
get
that,
one.
and I might go on the other
Side
side.
and get it.
one.
Yeah, that's me.
You
And,
know,
well, I'll go to the resource center,
Yeah.
for them with the computers, take them back.
Yeah, because that's not in our job description, but it's the nice thing to do for the patient to make them feel a little better.
And then get them a wig.
Yeah,
Get
there you go,
wigs,
yep.
Get
Yep,
them wigs, I get them the book,
Yeah,
they even got the hair.
yeah.
That's why they gave me that Friends of the Nurses Award. 'Cause
Yeah,
Yeah,
I be helping them, like, when I came up there, they was like, you do a little extra than what
yes,
everybody else do sometimes, like, I really help, like, I move beds,
yep.
Yeah.
and like, some jobs that, like, I guess some people be like, well, I don't do that, that ain't my job, but,
Yeah,
I move a bed.
Yeah,
put
me
another
too,
bed
me
back,
too.
It ain't no big deal.
yeah. So it's working as a team,
yeah, just put it in the hallway, I ain't
They
moving
look out
it.
for me on days they get something to eat, they might feed me and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they do for me.
Yep, that's
They always look out for us, they do.
They'll
Yeah.
deer, they be like,
Oh, we
Yeah.
know, we know.
Oh, yeah,
We
yeah.
can tell, we
Yeah.
can tell you wasn't here.
Yep.
Yeah, but we
That's
do
what
an
they say.
extra thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it works hand in hand, I guess.
So what if a patient had a complaint as you left the room? What would you do if they were complaining to you?
Oh, I did, I had that.
Yeah.
You listen sometimes.
Yeah, listen, yeah.
I listen and I'll try to correct it.
Mhm.
I'll be like, so what was it bothering you? Because when like I said, yesterday I came up on the floor and 4 people, as soon as they seen me, they was like, Becky, could you come clean my room? Becky, I was like,
I
what?
cleaned the room that was clean, I can look at the floor and be like, man, they must have missed the floor.
Do what they did.
And I tried to sneak in there and clean it before the person that was on the floor seen it, because I didn't want them to be feeling some type of way.
Yeah,
It was
that's
dirty.
what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I gotta clean this dude.
I had to
before I
redo the
leave, but
whole
I didn't want them
room.
to see me, and they'd be like, well, I cleaned it, but it ain't look like it, but.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
just
I
snuck in
had to
there
go
real
through and
quick.
do the whole
Cause I
room.
see the dude every day,
Yeah.
the room usually be cleaner than
Yes.
that, and I ain't been in there in 2 days, and
Yeah.
I just like.
Yes, so Felicia, when we go through stuff like that, are we wrong
No.
for saying anything to the person that was supposed to be up there, like taking our spot?
Absolutely not. But you could be wrong in the way you present it to
Yeah,
them.
so
You
when you
need
talk
to
to
your way to
people-
talk to somebody. Like if you go up to somebody and say, you can't clean, you did this
Yes, I
wrong.
did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, so then they automatically get defensive.
Yeah.
But if you say it in a way, oh, I know you took care of this room, but there's a few things I noticed. Do you mind if I'll
I
just point
just
them out
fixed
to
it
you?
myself. I didn't even wanna.
So it's the way that a lot of times you say it, because you know how some people, when someone don't do something right in their area, they'll come up to them and say, you did it, then that person automatically gets defensive. So it's a way of saying things and presenting it to them. And then they may not have just been, you know, they may not have been aware, they may have, but it's just a way to say
Sometimes
it.
I felt like they waiting on me to get back.
Yeah, that's what I
By the time I
said.
get back, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
gone, so this your job.
Exactly.
'Cause I came up the other day and the girl just, oh, you here, boom,
Yeah.
I went in the weight room, I was like, well, damn. You know,
Yeah,
and
well,
then
they
it was
did the
this time,
same
I
thing
just
to me.
did it.
Mhm.
I said, I go and do it, you know, and I just let her go. I was like, man, I guess, and she left the mops and everything, like.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I did the same thing. I went through the same
I ain't
thing.
say no, I just got it.
I just went in there and did it. I redid the whole room when I seen stuff on the floor.
Mm.
I was like, wait a minute, so you didn't move that chair because that chair should not be there.
Yeah, you think, what else didn't they do?
Yeah, so that's when I went through the shower and I seen stuff. And I started seeing things and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna redo the
Some
room.
people be like.
So if
"Hey,
you did
that
this
cool."
to the shower and the bathroom, I can imagine that bed.
Mhm. And then that's why we have this program. So then now people are gonna be trained the same way by everybody, and they can't say, oh, I wasn't trained on that. Yeah, you were.
You know what I think
Yeah.
would be good, like, cause I just, you know, from taking this, I done learned some stuff that I didn't really know, like, the first part, as far as infections and all that.
Yeah,
And
me
I
either.
think like, as far as new people starting, it's like, you know, after like a month or two after they've been here, like, even if for an hour, if y'all could get them and say, you know, go over the infection stuff and why.
Yeah, and why
you
the
got to wear the
stop
PPE
the
and this.
spread?
And then it'll, you know, it'll get them a little more clarity of like, you know, how to handle
How to
stuff.
handle
it.
Because sometimes I guess they watch that video, then they come and work, but they don't be, you know, they don't be
Focused.
understanding
They're
how
not-
the stuff,
yeah.
they until you start working and then
Yeah.
you look at it again and be like, okay, now I understand. You know, you understand a little more, you know, about what you're doing.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That makes sense. Yeah, because in the video, because when their first day in orientation, they're getting hit with so much
Yeah, they don't know
information.
what they're gonna get into, then they get here,
Mhm.
and then they start seeing it. you know,
Yeah.
so-
And that's why a lot of people walk
No, I
off.
just really
They
understand.
saying it's too much. One guy told me that. He said that this is too much. I don't.
Yeah.
You're walking.
Not working. It was too much work. He said it was too much work for one person.
And that's the crazy thing is, we clean less per square footage than any other hospital.
Yeah.
We do?
Yep, like our sisters, their units have like 20-something rooms. They kept to clean 20-something rooms a day.
Yeah.
Don't say that. for me.
And they don't have centers ever. They don't, that's not a word they know. I mean, yeah. Same at Buffalo General. Their units are much bigger that they're responsible for and they don't. So we clean less square footage and then people still say it's too much. But we do more detail than all those other
They
places.
complain at the other buildings where they say it's just garbage, but I know if they can do it, they just like, man, it's too much. I'm like, man,
Yeah,
I
they
worked
said,
over
like-
there before, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And the
said that
research
too.
buildings, it's
I
not as
said
much
that.
detail.
They
We
always
don't do all
complain that they
the,
need
Yeah,
another
because we don't gotta do the
worker.
counters and all
You
the
don't-
lab
yeah.
stuff.
and we clean one floor a day. Like, they clean one, yeah, they don't clean every single floor every day. It's on Monday, you clean all of the fifth
I
floor.
remember I did that
Tuesday-
one floor for
Yeah.
the whole day. I did every floor. And so then when Kathy was around,
Yeah.
she said,
She's
no,
like,
why
you
would you
don't-
do that?
Yeah.
That's what I had on the paper. She said, no, I didn't.
Yeah. So now we're gonna do a little, let's see, we're gonna do a little activity here. Let me go back to our slideshow. I have to go back in.
Yeah.
Okay, we watched the video. So we already talked about that. We want to respond and anticipate requests, showing sensitivity to the patient and discomfort, taking time. I think these are already in your book, though.
Yeah,
You don't have to write it
yeah,
down.
okay.
Taking time for tasks beyond daily cleaning, responding to complaints. Now we're going to pair up with someone in the room. We're going to review your assigned challenge scenario. You're going to get an assigned challenge scenario in a minute. That is on page 1-16. And then we're going to discuss the situation after you have time to review it and the best way to handle the situation.
Okay.
Now we want you to be prepared to share with the rest of the
The
group.
group,
So
okay.
if you two guys want to get together and then you three ladies,
Okay.
and then what I'm going to do is give you a like, let's see. Maurice Capel, why don't you take care of the scenarios on page 716? And then Rebecca, Wanda, Sharita, why don't you do the scenarios on 717?
Okay. Okay, it says respondent under.
I'm gonna give you guys about 8 to 10 minutes
Okay,
to work on those.
to respond under stress, accused of stealing the patient and demanding
Reclean it.
or being rude.
They go clean. They know-
That's the scenario. What would be the right
You
answer
tell
for
the
that?
nurse somebody, it's our job, is reclean, everybody happy.
They're being demanding and they're being rude to us. So what do you do? Do you normally just walk out the room, that's what your answer would be? Or would you try to?
Be quiet, but sometimes.
You would try to talk them down?
Because I might see you by a room.
You know, a lot of times, like when I play.
If we not knowing they in there.
They'll say,
we get a little
oh,
loud.
they would know exactly who you're talking about. Sometimes they say they have a bad day, or because of whatever they're going through. See, so that's not, I've come.
So how do we respond? By just
Because, you know, that's,
talking to the nurse, tell the nurse. I think I'm telling the
Yeah.
nurse.
you know, like I would try to stay there and
Yeah,
try
I
to,
ain't got time for that.
and we're trying to go back and forth with them. We're trying to go back and forth with them.
Yeah, I'm telling the nurse, because that would be her job. Why would it be mine?
You know, it's just like everybody happy, you know.
Telling the nurse, that's in charge.
Then they gonna be-
Right, okay.
then they gonna have an attitude.
That's in charge.
System.
Yes.
As long as it ain't every day.
Yeah,
That's
no problem.
every day.
That's the person that.
Yeah,
that's the
sometimes
one.
people like,
Yeah,
oh,
you can get
instead of
water.
saying,
Yes,
oh,
I
you get
can.
them,
I
you
can.
get them,
Yes,
yeah.
I can.
And yes.
Not gonna do it.
Okay, the patient's asking for blankets and pillows, yes,
Yes.
yes,
Well,
I
when they
can.
tell the nurse that they didn't know, they said go away and then.
Because of that, you remember the
They
8
got
or whoever's not
cameras
around,
on, so you can go look at the camera.
So yes, we
See what's
can.
going
So
on
how
on
about
the
the
road, you know what I mean?
patient
Like,
complaining about
I'm
the
just gonna
room
stay out there.
being skipped?
Without
That's what I
having-
got.
You might just got some bad news.
So first,
You know what I mean? Without nobody in
apologize.
there.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
because,
come
yeah,
back,
Yeah,
apologize.
Maybe when they go.
Yeah, I will apologize.
Uh-huh.
Apologize.
Yeah, apologize.
And
And
first
then,
apologize.
and tell him that you gonna
Get to it.
get into it.
Mhm.
Enter the room, with family, rude, gang members.
Yeah, I move out.
You move on, yeah, I just like, I don't even go in there, I'll be like,
Yeah.
I'll just.
Apologize and we'll get to it.
If I was there, I move out.
You know,
Another,
wait for them
employee
outside.
complained about smells and chemicals being used. Smell of chemicals being used.
Another
And then,
Stay out
another
there.
employee,
Uh-huh.
Mhm. About smell of chemicals being used.
I don't know,
But when I
another
see-
employee, 'cause why would they, I don't get
That'd
that.
be a nurse,
room, like,
probably be a nurse saying,
three
oh,
or
I keep
four
smelling
others.
something.
Oh, see,
What
I
is
don't know.
that?
I just
That's to let you
put
clean
the
with
door
them,
in there,
that's
like,
what you
I ain't
have
trying
to
to clean
use, so I
it,
don't
clean
know.
all
Another employee
I'm
complained
not gonna
about
say, can I get the
smell
garbage at least before you
chemical-
know, so that
chemical
ain't feeling
use.
as far as clean, I'm not trying to mop one in.
And use, but the only thing would be, stuff that you clean with,
Yeah, but what do we tell her?
I don't know.
I'll call my supervisor.
Yeah, there you go,
Call my supervisor.
because it's, yeah,
Cause I don't know what to do with a chemical. Call supervisor. I don't know what to do with a chemical. And then, the patient's family member is complaining about a smelly room and bathroom.
or bathroom, yeah.
Well,
So
now,
again, apologize.
I will
again.
apologize.
Get to it.
It'll be cleaner.
and
Yeah,
then,
and then,
Somebody will have to reclaim.
what we have is peppermint oil. I don't know if y'all know about that.
Oh, no.
But we have peppermint oil that they put in a little cup and it'll take away smells and everything that smells like peppermint.
Really, in a well,
Well,
Yeah, they put it in a little plastic container.
see,
Little plastic cup
Everybody don't know
with
that.
a,
See, yeah, see, yeah.
with a gauze on it. And that'll air up the room real,
just
real.
put it in a cup and leave it there.
Yeah.
But see,
But the nurse, you gotta get it from the
That's that wrong
Oh,
smell.
okay.
It depends on where the smell from.
Yeah.
From the bathroom. It says
From the
it's in
bathroom.
the
It's
bathroom. Smelly room and or bathroom.
And then you can see the patients, it might be one of them patients that got spilled stuff, spilled some, might be.
Well, you know, my
some-
rooms are always
It might
smelly.
be
That's
dirty.
because they got a transplant.
It might be a dirty, the dirty diaper in the garbage that you
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
change, you know, so
Okay, so
sometimes the room stink from that, so
Yeah.
I might go
look
get
for
some
the source.
spray.
Look for the
Yeah, the
source.
source.
I know the source, yeah.
And then I'll go,
For what spray, because we
I
cannot
know,
use.
I sneak,
Yeah, yeah,
I
look
sneak
for
and
the
get a
source.
little bit and spread in the can. And then
No,
be like,
you can't.
No,
I spray it inside the girl.
no, you
No,
can't.
Yeah, sometimes
They be like, oh, that
You
smells
cannot
good,
use
thank you.
that. That's
Hey, I
spray.
You can't.
They be like,
Just clean up.
We don't have it anymore.
sometimes they got them in the
Just
room.
Yeah.
But people who
Yeah.
won't give us,
Look for the source and
who
clean
will
it.
get really smelly, they keep it in the room.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be like, it's already in here.
But they have
You
the
have to- you
peppermint
have to-
oil
you have to
that they
clean
put
it
in a little
first.
cup.
Yeah, I know, yeah, you clean it first, but you get the
Yeah.
garbage
Because
off.
the spray they're not
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah, you get the,
And then clean.
there'll be a lot of dirty diapers and things, they be smelling when I take them
Yeah,
off.
yeah, you're right.
And I can smell the whole room be loud. and I'm
Patient
like,
will
They were
come
asking
and
for
they
directions.
remember asking
For
for
directions.
direction. Help,
Help.
help them.
Yeah, they ask you for directions, so we help them where you get out. So if they got a phone, show them on their Google phone, they got a Google map.
No, it depends on what kind of direction. they
Oh,
ask.
yeah, that's right. They don't specifically say.
It's probably something in the hospital.
Yeah,
Yeah.
help them.
Yeah, the rest of this stuff is just like common sense stuff.
Help,
you know what I
help
mean?
them, help them. You're right,
Yeah,
help them, help them. And show them. Cause I show people how to get the chemo on 5 SCS building almost every day. So,
And
and,
sometimes they have
and
the
show.
map,
yeah,
and, sometimes they have the map.
into the map somewhere.
Yeah, she could.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, they do have the
Yeah.
maps downstairs, but a lot of people don't,
Like, you know, like,
they don't even go by those maps.
like blankets, I know you have like the thing with blankets in it, but are we allowed to, it's just like, that's your floor. So would somebody else be allowed to just go in there and get a blanket? That put enough.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's for anybody,
Okay.
anything on the outside of,
See, I wasn't
If
sure,
it's-
I know,
if
like,
it's-
I mean, you know what I'm thinking about? I forgot, that was me, I was thinking about the blanket warmer. We're not, that's what I was thinking about.
yeah, we can go in now. We can
Okay,
take-
time's up.
Okay.
Everybody got all the questions answered?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the first question, Maurice, why don't you let me know? A patient is complaining that his or her room wasn't cleaned well. So what would you do in that scenario?
I just re-clean it, you know. That's about all I can do, man. Re-clean it and.
What else? Maybe after you re-clean it, what else maybe might you do after you re-clean it?
Apologize, like say sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
Apologize.
That's what.
Maybe let your supervisor know so they
Oh,
can,
so it's not saying you
so we
didn't
can,
clean
yeah, no, maybe, because, so the person that didn't clean it,
right, yeah.
maybe we can, maybe that person may need some retraining. If you let the supervisor know, maybe we can have them retrained.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, all right, well, that's cool.
yeah, I mean, yeah, re-clean it, but also we want to correct the problem, you know, because if we never, because sometimes people say, so to come this complaint that something is never getting done. Why didn't you tell us? Then we would have, you know,
Make sure you got done.
well, I didn't wanna, you know,
Yeah, and that's where I was at. I was
But
like,
it's
I
like-
don't wanna,
yeah.
and then
and
the
they didn't
person
wanna-
I didn't wanna tell,
Yeah,
she seems like she takes up for the person all the time, so I was like,
no, but we have to tell, because then we can't fix the problem,
so I
you know.
just stopped talking about it. I was like, you know what, I'll fix it.
So, Kapil, a family member's complaining about noise. What's something that what would you do in that scenario?
Like apologize first.
Apologize first.
Yeah, and like be quiet, try to be quiet, like slow.
And sometimes
Where
we might,
noise come from, and then try to be carefully.
Mhm.
Try to do things be carefully.
sometimes we be outside their room and we might see another coworker, somebody, we get to talking, we don't know we loud.
Yeah.
And their room be right there, you don't know what they going through at the time, and
Mhm.
you get a little loud, they be like, they might look and say, can you kind of quiet down,
Yeah.
so you just be quiet. But I try not to do that now,
Mhm.
I think it happened one time, and I was like, I gotta be considerate of.
And then sometimes it's not us making the noise,
Yeah.
especially if the room's by the nurse's station.
Uh-huh.
If all the nurses are there talking.
So I just shut the door, so you want the door shut?
Yeah, that's a great, yeah, just ask them, would you like us to
Yeah,
shut the door for
especially if
now?
it be loud right there, and
Mm-hmm,
people be in there trying to sleep.
yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
So Maurice, a nurse or aide who needs help is making a bed, what would you do?
I mean, I would probably help them. I might help them that day, but now let's start being every day, I'll be like, all right, now, you know, you gotta, I don't know what's going on, but you get some,
Yeah.
you know, but I help them if I ain't doing nothing, they, you know, they just.
Yeah, it's okay to help out once in a while, but you want just to become a
Every day, like.
everyday thing.
Yeah, mine-
Like if you're on your unit and you know that 3 of the people on your unit called in that day, it might be a little tight, yeah.
Then I'm gonna start asking them to help me with the trash.
Yeah, there you go. See what they say.
Well, mine's bought me a dinner and gave me a card with $20.
That's
What was that
nice.
supposed to say?
Well, the staff?
Yeah.
To share with us.
Yeah, what, the sheriff, well, I guess they were showing their appreciation for everything you do. Yeah, right?
Ain't nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
that's
bought
what they
you a
did.
meal?
At the end of the day, I didn't even see it coming.
Yeah, that's nice though. That means that they really appreciate you.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a.
I was like, oh, I'll take it back. She's like, no, we're not. You take it. You did the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
You know, a client gave one of the nurses some weed, like.
No, no
Uh-oh.
way.
And, she was sitting there showing the manager like, you know, she gave me like $50 worth of weed. Like,
oh, well,
and he was like, you know what, just, you know what I mean? I was, you know, just go ahead with it, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's legal now, he's like, man, just,
legal now.
you know, he just, you know what I mean? I was just looking, I was like, okay.
I don't
That's
know.
different.
In that situation, I would just try to close my eyes real tight.
yeah, I don't wanna know
see
that,
it,
I don't see
because
it,
I
I
wanna
wanna
know it.
know.
I wanna know it, I wanna see it.
Like, no, you know, they told me to just, you know.
They say
you ain't tell me, so like he
said,
Yep.
Yeah.
So Kapil, knocking on the door and a patient tells you to go away, what would you do?
I go away and try to go back sometimes, and still same happen, I will tell nurse manager.
Yeah,
Because they might
It
got some bad news or something, they just don't wanna be
yeah,
bothered.
they may not wanna be bothered right now.
But then they know they got the cameras now, you can look in their rooms to see what's going on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
yeah.
you can look in there and see, you know, how they doing, how they feel.
But then some say that, and I'll try back, like he said, he'll try back with them later. So say that you don't come back.
Mhm.
So, I mean, do they lose our trust?
They might.
No,
It's possible that, well, if you told them you're coming back and you don't, because they'll be like, what happened? You know, they were having a bad, moment at the time and they asked to come back and you don't. Yeah, that's why it's good to just mark a little note on your duty list to come back
Depending on how they
or
say it.
something, yeah.
If they say, you need to come back, please, or.
So we
Or
have-
don't come back, I don't need you.
You know what? I
Yeah, I don't
If they
need
say, I don't need you, let the nurse know, because they might have to get infection control involved, because we're supposed to clean those rooms, because we're disinfecting the surfaces. So if we don't go in there and disinfect, what's gonna
I
happen?
mean, it's their room, I mean,
Yeah.
all right, well, that's what you
But he
want.
So
said
we can't just say, oh, they don't want us to do it and just put our hands up
We
and walk
did do
away.
that though.
We have to let someone know, we have to
I
let
told the
nurses know.
nurse, no,
Yeah.
but they
And
still
if they
did it.
say don't go in there,
They
that's,
told us
that's
that.
one thing,
Yeah,
but we
they
just
told
can't just throw our hands up and say, oh, well,
Yeah,
we have to let the
I
proper
felt
people
sorry for
know.
the person that they hollered at.
Yeah.
Because I knew not to go in there, but I forgot
Yeah.
to tell them before they went.
Okay, so what's the, Kapil, what was it, no, Maurice, I think the next one's on you, right? What is it? Let's see. Entering a room where the family is rude, perhaps gang members in
An urban area?
areas. I know, I was like, what? I said, what?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just-
Oh, so
The
here,
hood,
right here in the
in the
hood,
hood, right?
ECMC.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you do?
Someone coming in, I might, cause you know what, when there's like 3 or 4 people in the room, I check the garbage real quick, but I'm not trying to clean, I'm not trying to do the floor when everybody in the way.
Yeah,
So I just like, let me check the garbage real quick and then I'm out. I ain't,
You don't?
yeah.
yeah, I mean, no, I'm not gonna clean while they all leave. I ain't doing
Yeah,
that. Trying to-
especially-
Oh, no, they gotta lift their feet up
No,
and
I
they're
ain't
getting
doing
clean.
that. That's too.
It's getting clean.
Everybody, they doing this, and everybody, it just, it ain't, you know.
So if someone being rude to you, we don't expect you to stay in the room and take it. Just calmly leave the room and let your supervisor know.
Calmly?
Yeah, because if someone's being
You said
rude,
calmly, so.
because sometimes we'll have patients, throw profanities out there and stuff. We don't expect,
They cuss the nurses
Yeah.
out sometimes.
yeah, we don't expect you guys to just calmly leave the area, let us
And let the
know.
nurse know. I
Yeah.
let you know.
Yeah,
like, what it-
let your supervisor and the nurse, just let everybody know this is going on with this patient and, yeah, because we don't want you guys to be in harm's way. You know what I mean? Because it could go left real quick,
Mhm.
and we don't want to ever put you in harm's way for that, on that.
Okay, so this page. We had another rude person, they still ain't now.
Yeah. So now this is the first one. Let's see. Rebecca, responding under stress, accused of stealing. Patient is demanding or rude. What would you do in
I'm
that
going to tell
scenario?
the charge nurse, I'm going to tell her.
Yep, that's what you do. Tell charge nurse, also let your manager know.
Manager know?
Yep.
Okay.
And then sometimes sometimes the patient be in so much drugs, this stuff might be right there in their room and they don't know it.
Yeah.
Or it's a
think
lot
they
of
found
times where nursing will come in, change their sheets and not remove their items from the bed. You know, how many
No.
phones we get sent to laundry and they get sent back, cause it happens. Cause they don't, cause,
You don't know how many rings I found.
yeah, rings, dentures, you know, phones, we always get those sent back from laundry because they were wrapped up in their sheets.
Wow.
So then the first thing you do is, of course, accuse the person that was in there, you know,
Yeah.
when that's that's what happened. So Wanda, patients asking for water, what would you do?
Help.
She would help them. She said, yes, she could.
Yes.
What if that patient's not supposed to have water?
Also, that's why we have a check with the.
Check with the nurse.
Yep, you wanna check with the nurse first to see if it's okay to give the patient water.
Okay.
Cause like, well, in the clinics, I'm sure all those people, but like if in the inpatient unit, sometimes patients are on restrictive
Right, you're right about
fluids.
that. I noticed that.
Okay.
Checking up like.
Yeah, they are nothing by mouth.
Yeah.
Or nothing by mouth, yeah.
Yeah, where in the clinic is a little different, cause those are outpatients.
Some of the people.
But in the inpatient area, they might not be able to,
Right.
Right, some can't even eat.
yeah.
Right.
So you always wanna check with the super nurse first,
Sure.
just to make sure it's okay.
Okay, all right.
So Sharita, a patient's asking for a blanket or pillow, what would you do?
Well, I could say yes and say I will get it, but then should I check with?
No,
Yes,
a
you
blanket or
can.
pillow, yeah.
Yeah,
Because they
I can-
already-
If I
'cause
could
they-
just get it.
Yeah, 'cause especially if they're in the bed, they probably already have a blanket,
Yes,
they're
right.
just a little colder.
Somebody grown up.
Then Rebecca, patient's complaining that the room was skipped, what would you do?
I apologize and I will do it.
Yeah, you make sure to clean the room immediately and then assure them that this won't happen again. And also contact your supervisor and let them know, because the person that, you contact your supervisor, let them know also, so we can find out why the person skipped their room, that who was supposed to clean it. Well, I want them to know.
Okay.
You know, it's important, because if we don't know
But isn't
someone's
it like
doing it.
telling on the person,
No.
Felicia, isn't it sort of like disrespectful to do that to a person?
Not at all. 'Cause what if that person just needs more training and just doesn't realize they were skipping rooms? It could be. Or do we want the wrong person cleaning our patient rooms?
Yeah.
And then I just look at it, you know, what if it was somebody that I knew in that bed? How would I feel, you know?
Yeah, that's why I did what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
I know.
Yep,
You're
you gotta
right.
look at it in all those ways. Because we can't correct a problem if we don't know about it. Because it happens with the nurses too. They'll call us the next day. The person that on our unit yesterday didn't do anything. Well, why didn't you call us when they didn't do it that day so we could correct it right then and there instead of waiting? You know what I mean? If we know about it, we can fix it. So let's see. Wanda, another employee is complaining about the smell of the chemical being used. What would you do?
First, I would call my
Supervisor,
supervisor.
that's what we have.
Yeah, we said call
So
the
see
man.
what chemical.
Cause it's a chemical
Yeah.
smell,
So
Yeah.
and we don't know how to do that.
what to do about it?
Yeah, chemical, yeah,
You
because
can't not clean.
you can't not clean.
That's-
So you wanna make sure you remove yourself and the chemical from the area first,
Okay.
and then call your supervisor. And then your supervisor will find out the issue and try to resolve it. Maybe it's a matter of
Move
us
the
using.
person? You say move the patient?
Move yourself and the chemical from the area. Let's say you're
Oh,
cleaning a room and they're saying that the hydrogen peroxide wipes is making them nauseous. Just remove them from that area, let your supervisor know, so then we can go
Oh.
investigate and see, maybe we have to use something else if it's something they're real sensitive
okay.
and that specific smell is bothering them.
Okay.
Some people don't like.
Yeah, like with the bleach wipes, some
Yeah.
people don't like the smell of it, and one lady told me that.
Depending on if, you know, and if it's a C. diff room, we have to use the bleach
Yeah,
wipes.
that's what I told the one guy, I got it, sorry.
So Sharita, a patient and her family member is asking for directions. What would you do? You say you're walking to say you just clocked in at 3:00. Someone stops you in between main hospital and CSC asking for directions. What would you do?
For me, I typically walk them over, and I actually did
She
that
said
yesterday.
she just
Two
helped
people,
them.
one
She showed
person
them.
over,
She
another person, I
showed
do that
them.
all the time, I would actually literally take them. Because it's easy, you know, for some people, just explain to them, but for me, I feel like it's better if I actually
Show 'em.
show you, and then, so that way the next time you should be more interested yourself, that's just what I would do.
Yeah, great answer.
Yeah, I do it all
You
the
stop
time.
what you're doing and you walk them to the location
I
that they
do.
need to go to. Yes, but just don't point out, oh, just go to make a left, make a right,
But-
make another left and go up
But you see
there.
nurses do it all the time,
You
that's
do.
why I always say, I'll take you. I'll take you, and I'll take them over.
We
to
would
CSC
never, we
building.
would never call you down to the office and say, why were you out of your area if you was helping a patient or visitor with something? We would never do that. Yeah, cause have you ever got called down for doing that? No?
No.
And how many years you been here? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so we always say, just take that second and help them out.
I know we did the chemical ban use, but we didn't get to, we do the.
Oh, the
Wait, but
smelly
the smell
room.
that-
You're
yeah,
having
I
a
was
problem
waiting
with
for
the smelly
that.
bathroom.
Oh, I skipped this, I did smell twice.
No, I think that's
So
what-
like, yeah.
Yeah, we
So-
wanted to know what you do with the smelly bathroom.
Yeah, so what will we do? So let's see,
It's
what did you
waste
guys
in the
say?
bathroom.
The patient and family was complaining about smelly room in the bathroom.
I would say try to figure out, well, I don't know how much.
We said we apologize
Yeah,
again to
apologize
them.
for it, and
Then we try to find the source.
Yeah,
Try
maybe
to
like
find source of-
disinfect the
yes.
whole area, maybe
Yes.
there was something missed.
So, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like
Try to
say
find out
if
where
someone
it's coming
vomited
from.
on the floor and someone got under the toilet, they may not have seen it. Maybe
One
try,
thing that causes that a lot of times is people change out the bag and there's something in the
the
garbage
garbage
can
can?
underneath the
Oh,
bag.
okay.
It's stinky in the
Oh.
garbage can, so it's always a good idea to pull the bag out. and
Or a
make sure-
hat is in the garbage can and that's what's smelling.
and
Mhm.
it's- sometimes
Could be
it's underneath
Because
the
they
bag.
don't even rinse the hats, they just throw them in
mm-hmm,
with poop and all.
yep,
That
pooping
is-
on,
It's sad, but yeah.
yep. So yeah, you just wanna, terminally clean the room, the patient might not be able to move. So another alternative, they say, would be that to check with the nurse and see if the patient's possibly leaving the room, then you can just do the whole thorough,
They use.
top to bottom clean.
Oh, okay, check with the nurse.
You would see if the patient's leaving out, if you can't find the smell, maybe it's coming from the bed, maybe something got spilled, maybe something leaked.
Yeah.
So if you did all those things, you checked the trash can, you cleaned the bathroom, you cleaned all the areas and you still don't know where it's coming from, it might be on the bed. Then maybe check to see if the patient's getting up, so you can just thoroughly clean.
Yes,
Okay, that's good.
yes.
So during the hospital stay, how often were you in a room or bathroom kept clean? We're talking about the breast screening. So I'll let you take over from there.
Oh, sure, you can take it over from there.
Okay, yep.
It's my jam, bitch.
Yeah, I know. We already explained it.
Station set, that's where I live.
Here we go.
All right, we're doing good, we're in the 7?
Yep, 722.
Okay. And we're trying to get through what, 8 today?
8. I think we're pretty much
Yeah,
on
we
schedule.
got close, yeah. We'd like to.
We're gonna try to.
Okay, all right, so, so you're on page 7.18 of your guide there. So, how would you respond to these questions? So the first question, if you were asked this question, say you're a patient, you went home, how would you respond to these? During the hospital stay, how often were your room and bathroom kept clean? And during your hospital stay, how often was the area around your room quiet at night? So think about those questions. These are questions asked by the survey, asked on the survey that is sent to patients that are discharged from hospitals through what's called HCAHPS. Okay, and HCAHPS is the Hospital Consumer Assessment of Healthcare Providers and Systems. Okay, I don't expect you to remember hospital.
Mike, no, it's in their book.
It is in your book. I don't expect you to remember it. Okay, but it is in your book on 7.18. Okay.
Just highlight it.
Hospital Consumer Assessment of Healthcare Providers and Systems. So when you hear people say HCAHPS, when talking about patient satisfaction, that's what they're talking about. Okay? And these are surveys that are sent home. It's really a survey that is sent home and the survey is done by the Division of Medicare and Medicaid Services, or Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, to judge really how hospitals are treating patients. And these are the only 2 questions they're asked. There's over 100 questions that they ask. They are not the only 2 questions they ask. There's over 100 that are asked.
But these are the ones that
These are the 2 that really
get our
fall
response.
under they fall under the room question. So under the room category. Now, certainly you look at these and you say, the first thing I would say is, well, the second question, we don't really deal
We're not
with.
here.
We're not here at night, first of all. And even if we were here at night, can we get the nurses to quiet down?
No.
You know?
It's not gonna
So-
happen.
The ways we can affect this, the quietness question. I know they ask about at night, but if you're a patient and you read this question, you're thinking about just, was it quiet around my room in general? A lot of patients are sleeping at night anyway. So you may not even, the at night part might not even register with you when you're answering this question. The quietness part, if you think about it, How do you think we can affect the quietness around a patient room?
Close the door.
Exactly,
Yeah.
perfect. If it's loud, either if it's loud out there because the nurses are yapping about, what they just, great deal they just got on Amazon or whatever the heck they're doing. Or if, there's a lot of people gathering, or sometimes we have a lot of students, or we'll have, up in ICU, they go through and they do rounds, like, patient by patient. If we see that there's a lot of noise happening in a given area and a patient room is open, or if we're causing the noise, if our floor tech comes down and is auto scrubbing the hallway, or we're doing something out there that's gonna cause a lot of noise, certainly, excuse me, I'm gonna shut the door, there's a little bit of noise out here, is it okay if I shut your door? And then pull the door shut. And that's a way we can help get that score to be better. And also give the patient a much more comfortable stay. All right, the first question, if I want you to really think about the way it's asked. So during this hospital stay, how often were your room and bathroom kept clean? So how does that sound to you?
Sounds like once a day.
Right, so there's a reason why we have you guys have those 3 points of contact with the patient. Trash in the morning, clean midday, trash in the afternoon. And it's an answer to a question like this, okay? If you want to ask a person a question based on frequency, meaning how many times something was done or how often it was done, that's different than saying how clean was your room. How clean was your room is a question about quality. It's not a question about quantity or frequency. How often your room was kept clean is a frequency question. So we got to think about it in those terms and think, if I'm a patient being asked this question and you say to me, how often were your room and bathroom kept clean? And we have an ES program where we go into the room 1 time per day for 10 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever it is. Well, not very often, 23 and a half hours a day, it wasn't kept clean. It was kept clean for 15 minutes, But now if we go in the morning, we get their trash, and we go in at midday and we fully do a daily clean, and then we go in the afternoon and we, do a final policing of the room, or we may have a discharge in the semi-private bed. Now they're seeing us 3, 4, 5 times a day. Now all of a sudden, how often was your room and restroom kept clean starts to become like, well, geez, that ES worker was in here all the time. They were in here always doing something. They're always in here making my room clean. So that's kind of one of the reasons we set up these multiple touches per day in the patient rooms. All right, does that make sense? To try to answer this frequency question. So again, HCAHPS. Yeah, HCAHPS, again, what does this mean to you? All right, the purpose of the survey, is to produce data on the patient's perspective of care, to create incentives for hospitals to improve their quality of care through public reporting of the results, and to enhance accountability in healthcare. Okay, now these surveys that they pull, anyone can see the answers to these surveys. Okay, so we could go on the healthcare consumer reporting site right now and see the results for different hospitals in this area as far as their HCAHPS goes. You won't see Roswell on there because Roswell technically is not a hospital. Roswell is a research institute. So we don't appear as other hospitals do, but you can see Kaleida, you can see any of the Catholics, you can see ACMC, you can see, Bradford Regional, you can see, any of the hospitals around here, and you can see what their scores are for things like.
It's only in Erie County.
It is under, I'm gonna see if I can.
It's a government-based survey?
Well, it's
Like
because
Cleveland, I couldn't see Cleveland Clinic.
you can see Cleveland Clinic if you want. It's because it's based on, it is based on the Medicare and Medicaid payouts that the government gives to hospitals. So I'm gonna go and show you. If I went to Hospital Compare, compare, okay, and here's the Hospital Compare. Okay, and I go on to this website here. Here's Hospital Compare, and if we want to look at, let's see.
Oh, they only do Medicare and Medicaid people?
Let's see if this.
That's what.
Well, it's put together by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Okay, so they're the ones that give the funding to hospitals when people submit claims. Okay, and we want to find and compare. So yes, it's run through them. The other survey reports the results that I report to you guys each month are something called Press Gini. That's a
Oh.
private survey that Roswell pays to have sent out to its patients. So let's say we want to put our zip code in here, and we only want to look at hospitals. And search. So now there's Kaleida Health, and Kaleida Health is all considered one, even though they have multiple hospitals within them, but they are what's called a full asset merger, so they only report one score for all of their hospitals.
Look at Brian.
Brylin is there, Sisters of Charity, but the Catholics are separate because they are not a full asset merger, so they report separately. Erie County Medical Center. So we could select a couple of these. Let's look at ECMC.
So what's
And
the
let's-
difference between overall star rating and then patient survey rating?
Yeah.
So the overall star rating has to do with there's a lot of other quality indicators besides just the room cleanliness. There's surgical outcomes.
And how you
So the
felt.
patients rate things a certain way, but then there's also outcomes for, post-op infection rates and birthing rates for
I
hospitals that
usually
have
have to
babies.
report all that
Right,
stuff.
so all that stuff is reported, and that's what goes into the overall star
Okay.
rating. So let's say I just want to compare these three hospitals,
Mhm.
okay, and then I'm going to compare them. So I pick ECMC, Sisters, and Kaleida,
Kaleida.
okay? And then you can look at underneath each one of them, their overall star rating, their patient survey rating, the hospital type, and then we can actually go into specifics on each one. So let's look at the patient survey rating. Under the patient survey rating, we can look at each question. The nurses always communicated well. Doctors always communicated well. And again, this is the always. That's why when I talked this morning at Huddle about moving to the top box score, that's the always. That's the best score that you can get. So that's the percentage of people who gave the best score. And here's the one, patients who reported that the room and bathroom were always clean. Okay, ECMC was a 59, Sisters was a 62, and Kaleida was a 55. I think what I say ours was this morning, 70 something.
Oh, yeah, because then it gives the
Yeah.
national and the. New
So
York too.
we're above both the national average and the New York average, all right? So patients who reported quiet around their room, always, again, this is only always, not sometimes, not usually, not never, only always. So the people who gave the highest score for being quiet. So
46%.
again, that's why this is important, because people can choose where they want to have their care. And if noise is important to them, they can come here and say, well, I want to be at the place that's going to have the least amount of noise around my room because I want to sleep and rest. Or I want to be at the place that shows as the cleanest. And of these three, the one that shows as the cleanest is Sisters.
Is there a patient engagement ranking on this?
What do you mean?
Like, is it, well, customer service or patient engagement or?
I mean, like our courtesy score that we
Yeah,
report? That's not a score that is included here, no.
Which
It's
doesn't,
just not within this domain.
so then can people go to our site because we're under a private?
People cannot see the
They
Roswell
can't,
scores,
okay.
no.
No?
Because Press Ganey is an internal, well, it's not internal, but it's a private company.
Oh.
And we would have to release those surveys. We
Oh.
can see what our HCAHPS equivalent is on the Press Ganey survey, but it's not publicly reported. Because we're a private research institute. We're not an acute care hospital. All right. But that's how these scores work and why they're important. Because anybody, I mean, we just went and looked. We just saw what these hospitals, ratings are. So, and again, you can look at.
Kaleida's pretty bad. That's sad. And they,
You know that, though, you were just there.
I know.
Like, they're not lying, are they?
no, they're not lying on there.
And keep in mind, that number for Kaleida is reported for all their hospitals
Yeah.
combined.
Yeah.
So
Like
that's
all
Suburban,
three of them?
that's Suburban, that's DeGraff, that's Buff General, and that's Children's.
Children's.
Yeah, all combined in one score versus the Catholic Health System, which Sisters, Mercy, St. Joe's, they all report separately. And Kenmore is the other one.
So I wonder why it's not, well, I guess.
That's because of the way they're
That's
corporate
crazy.
entities. They're
And
corporate
Children's is
entities.
brand new.
Yeah.
Why would it be like that?
So again, I mean, there's survey questions on timely and effective care. So this affects not just us as ES workers and ES people. It affects, percentage of patients who received appropriate care for sepsis and septic shock, percentage of patients who had cataract surgery with visual function. There's all kinds of things you can look at to see some of these are reporting is not available. People who left the ER without being seen, meaning like, they checked in and said, yeah, I ain't waiting around here.
Yeah. They do it at Buffalo General a lot.
So all kinds of indicators are within HCAHPS, all right? So I got a little sidetracked there, but I think it's
Okay.
important for you to know
All right,
where these numbers come from and why they're important.
okay.
Because everyone can see them for most hospitals. For Roswell, they're more privately kept, but we still need to be aware that patients have a choice of where they go, and we want them to choose us. All right. So again, when making these reports public, their entire public is more involved in quality healthcare. If patients get infections and survey reports do not, we already did this. Yeah, I gotta go all the way through because I shut that. Dang it. Hang on. You know, when patients can go on and look and see, and they have a choice of where to get their care, that's gonna drive quality, because guess what? Institutions that have low quality are gonna have to do something about it, or they're gonna run out of patients. They're gonna run out of people that come to their place. Where are we at here? I already did all this, right?
No, that's where we
Right
are.
there, okay, cool. All right, the other thing about HCAHPS itself is a thing called value-based care. So Medicare and Medicaid, what they do with those scores is they reimburse hospitals based on how they score. So if a hospital puts in, say, a bunch of requests to Medicare to pay them back for services of, say, $100,000, okay? And they look at the scores of that hospital, and that hospital has to not only achieve at least the 50th percentile amongst all the hospitals that are rated, but they also have to show incremental improvement in their score over time, or they lose part of that reimbursement. So while they may have done $100,000 worth of services, they might only get reimbursed $90,000 based on those scores. So, and then they take the $10,000 and they basically give it to the ones who do really well. They reimburse them at a higher rate. So it's really designed to drive hospitals to improve their services and improve their quality. All right? Okay, so then we want to talk about kind of, again, ways that we use our surveys to drive patient care and to drive better outcomes. So how do we use patient survey scores here to improve?
Oh, our survey stores to
Yeah,
improve.
what do we do with our survey scores? How do you know about them?
Oh, because you put them up in our
Yeah, put them in your closet. So you know every month what your score is, how you compare to your peers, what your patients are.
Yeah, I work a
saying
little
about
harder to get it up there again.
Yeah, so that might allow you to, cause you to say, I had a down month, I want to kind of pick it up or talk more with my patients and
Yeah.
understand what's going on. The other thing we do as managers is we look at that and say, do we have the right people in the right places? You know, is this a right fit?
You know, in my floor, you do get off-service people. So it's
Yeah.
a little different than the ones that I call them frequent flyers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of that here is very specific to unit. I mean, the fact that these surveys go to people who are discharged, and you don't have a lot of discharges because your patients stay a long time. So therefore, you don't get a lot of surveys. Other areas like the sevens, where they're discharging 10, 12 people a day, they're gonna generate more surveys, because they just have more discharges. So we understand that as well. So we'll both look at it as, okay, what can we do to really improve our scores? Do we have the right fit and the right people that are impacting our patients in the right way and cleaning their rooms properly? We'll also look at it and say, do we need to do projects? Do we need to scrub floors? Do we need to do things to brighten and shine the place up to make it look better, to increase our scores and see how that affects us? So we use it in a few different ways. So have you ever heard the phrase perception is reality? You ever heard that? Ever heard anybody
not
say
really.
that?
I never
No?
heard nobody say that.
Okay. Well, what perception is reality means is, if someone thinks something is clean, or someone has the idea that something is a certain way, then that's their reality. That's what they believe. So if you believe that one of the other hospitals around here is, going to have a bad outcome for you, you're probably going to have a bad outcome. If you believe that, the pizza at Lovejoy is terrible, when you get it and you eat it, it's going to taste terrible too. That's going to be your reality. Even though it might not be for everybody else, but you believe it to be that way. So in your mind, yeah, it's just going to be terrible. So we can set up the perception of our patients that we have a great operation with friendly people who have systems and processes that are replicated, and they see the same people doing the same things. In their mind, their perception is going to be, yeah, this is a tight run outfit. They do a great job here. And their reality is going to be, this is a great place to come for care. Okay? So we want to make sure that perception is really set up to drive the patient's reality.
Perception.
okay?
Mhm.
So, again, here's what the questions look like during your hospital stay. How often were your room and restroom kept clean? And the answers they can give are never, sometimes, usually, or always. And on that survey that I just showed you with those results from other hospitals, the only answer that percentage counts as is the always. If you said always. If you said one of the other three, doesn't matter. If you said usually, you might as well have said never, because you didn't say always. And then again, the quietness question. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, now we're gonna move on to, yeah, go ahead.
I can be like, I can be a patient that do the survey. So
Yeah.
all week I could be on the floor and be good, but then I can take 2 days off and somebody else can be on there
yeah,
and don't do nothing. So then when they do the survey, it's gonna say,
I messed
well,
up.
hey, you know, they didn't. it was
Absolutely
always,
correct.
You know what I mean? So then I see the paper and thinking it's me, like, okay.
Yeah, I did.
you're absolutely correct, Mo.
Becky said she had all red, and she like,
So-
I got red.
There's only two ways to,
I said
only
that.
two ways
I
to
was out
fix
there.
that.
Uh,
First way is, you're never allowed to take a day off.
Yeah, like I'm all mine. And I go upstairs, I'm like, you know, I know I'm going for 4 days and everybody that's up there just like I'm coming back at the end of the day. But when I come back, it's gonna be time to go. It's like they waiting on me to come back
Yeah,
and do
I
whatever.
gotcha.
But I know I'm about to fix it out when I go up, but it ain't no big deal. I'm
Right.
used to it, but.
But it can affect the survey,
Yeah,
you're
the
exactly
survey,
right.
Like days we be off, we can't be up there every day.
I understand
Sometimes
that.
other people come in and they might not do what we do.
Right,
And then somebody did a survey and be like, well, they didn't do this or that, but it don't be me, it'll be somebody else.
I understand that. So, again, there's two ways to fix that, in my mind. One is you never taking time off, which can't happen, you
They
have
say
to
the
take
nurses
time off.
always say don't take a day off. but-
The other way to solve it, or to help solve it, or at least drive towards solving it, is to have competent, qualified, quality trainers who are gonna show people the right way to do things.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here. We're setting you guys up so that you are our go-to trainers, so that we can't have people saying, well, so-and-so showed me this way, and I was never shown that. Oh, that person never showed me how to do this. We know you were shown the right way because you were with a competent, qualified trainer who has this information and shows everyone to do things the same way. Now, and then if they choose not to do it, then it becomes a different issue. That becomes something we have to deal with. But they can't say they weren't told or weren't shown.
All right, well, you wasn't in here, but Lisa said she might check on getting the trainers. You know how y'all do the little light thing?
Yeah,
So then we can, when we train them, we can show them that, you
yeah.
know, this is what, you know, we know what
This is what you missed.
This is what
She
you
says
missed.
the little spring.
You mean the black lights or just the regular
I
flashlights?
don't
Black
know,
lights.
whatever
The black lights.
So then we can show them,
Yeah.
like they go
Like,
through.
like we
a
can go in
show
and have them
them.
do a discharge and do their
Absolutely.
thing,
So they
and then
go
come
like,
in
you
after
know,
them and check it.
This is how the
Absolutely.
germs look when you don't clean it, man, and you gotta, you know, so maybe
Use it as a
that-
training.
Yeah.
there's training to it, so,
Yep.
yeah.
Fantastic, absolutely. Do we write that on our parking lot?
No, because that's what I was gonna do.
Okay. All right, okay, so let's talk a little bit about, let's get to page 7.21 in your book, okay? 7.21 talks about other groups that may perform surveys or inspections of our facility. One of these groups is called the Joint Commission, or TJC, okay? Some people used to call it just Joint Commission, or they call it the Joint, or whatever, but their actual name is called TJC now. Okay, the Joint Commission, the long name for them is the Joint Commission, or the people used to call it JCO.
Yeah.
It used to be the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations, but they are no longer JCO. They actually haven't been JCO since the 90s. They're the Joint Commission is their name.
Yeah.
Okay?
The
So-
Joint Commission.
So some things you should know, and that's on page 7.25 in your book, okay? So who could tell me some of the things that Joint Commission might ask? We talked about these things before our survey. What might they ask you?
I'm actually, what's the dwell time also?
Exactly, the dwell time of the
Well, this
chemicals.
was the one lady asked me on Joint Commission.
What's that?
She asked me where were the poll boxes?
The pull boxes, okay, that's a safety question, and that's good to know. How did you know where the pull boxes were?
Because they had east exit.
They're typically near or around the exits, but typically there's also a little thing on the wall that pops out that says there's a pull box. So if you just look down your walls, there's usually like a 3D thing sticking out that says like fire pull switch
Oh, I
or something
never
like
noticed
that.
that.
Usually,
Oh.
and sometimes for fire extinguishers, there is one too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what other questions that you think Joint Commission might ask?
They're gonna ask you about the race and all that, you know,
Yeah, your fire codes,
Fire
race,
codes,
pass. Sure.
everything that we got on the back of here, you said, we can look at.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of they might ask you?
How long the clinical?
Dwell time, yeah, dwell time for your chemicals. And they may even ask you which chemicals you use for what. They might say,
Yeah.
hey, what do you use for a Contact Plus room or a C. diff room?
Mhm.
And your answer would be?
Contact Plus from I use bleach white.
Perfect, exactly. So, and there's other things they could ask, but again, the general vicinity are things gonna be about your job typically, or about safety in general. They're gonna ask you those type of questions. They may ask you about our training programs. Hey, how do you get trained here? When you started here, did you get trained? How do people normally get trained and that kind of thing? And I mean, the great badge of honor we can tell them about in the future is, hey, we have the certified healthcare, we have the CHESS program here, we have qualified, competent trainers, and they're our key go-to people to train all of our new hires. So, things you need to know during a survey. What's your purpose of being on the unit? Okay, what do you do? What is your job?
Yeah, my purpose of being on the unit.
Yeah, what's your purpose of being here? What do you do?
To clean, to disinfect, and stop the spread.
Exactly, disinfect and break the chain of infection. That's what we're here to do. So again, chemicals you use, we talked about that. You know, they may ask you about the chemical you use, with the effects of those chemicals, including dwell times. They may ask you to demonstrate proper cleaning techniques and have you explain to them, okay, how do you clean? How do we clean?
Dirty to.
Clean and dirty.
Clean and dirty, top to bottom.
Clean and dirty, top to bottom.
And one ventilation.
Yep, one direction.
And
Clockwise.
clockwise or
Clockwise
counterclockwise.
or
They may
counterclockwise.
ask us how we do that. They may ask you about changing your mop water and mops. What will we tell them about that? When do we change our mop water?
We change them daily
Right, and why don't we change them between every 3 rooms?
because it's.
We just taking the rags out, we're not putting them in.
You're not redunking, right,
We're not putting them back in.
We're not re-dipping. We're just taking one out of clean solution. The solution remains clean all day, and we dump it and we refill it the next day. Where do you find the SDS in case of emergency?
Office.
Office?
You said it's on every unit, right?
It's on I-2. It's on I-2. Yeah, there's a link on I-2 to the SDS, and then we also have a couple of big books in our office full of all of our SDS. And, you know, they may ask you, how do you care for your patients? What are some things you do to care for your patients? You know, dignity, respect, how you deal with patients and families, things like that. And they may ask you about precautions, isolation precautions, using wet floor signs. They may observe and just watch to see if you set the wet floor sign up, and that you remove it when the floor is dry, okay? And again, you already mentioned how to react in case of a fire race, those kind of things. Okay, so what is the dwell, kill, or contact time? And this is gonna be on your page
722?
722, let's fill in the blanks. What is the dwell, kill, or contact time for the chemical you are using?
Oh, it's 1 minute.
1 minute for peroxide, right?
Yeah.
So write that in. For the peroxide wipe.
One
For the
minute.
other peroxide, it's 5 minutes, the yellow multi-surface. Okay, and again, if you don't know this during a survey, where do you find it?
On the back of our.
Yeah, we have it written there for you, and it's okay for a Joint Commission surveyor for you to say, you know what? I know we learned this, I can't really recall, but I know I have it here on my card, just give me 1 second. Yep, peroxide wipes 1 minute, our bleach wipes are 5, and our 456 is 10. All right? Okay, do you know the meaning of race? Second question.
Rescue, activate.
Oh, I mean, wait.
Alarm or activate, it's the same thing, yeah.
What's the C? What the C stand for in race?
Confined?
Okay, so I think the blank is, it's weird, they have activate, I think they want to
Oh,
say
yeah, they do
or
have it.
alarm, or alarm. Alarm, so activate, here, come here.
Activate alarm confined?
Yeah, activate or alarm, confine the fire, and then evacuate or extinguish, could be the E. That's right.
Rescue.
It's on the back of
Fine.
So you're gonna rescue, activate or alarm,
Contain.
contain or confine the fire. Okay, evacuate or extinguish. All right. So what's the meaning of pass? Pull, squeeze, and yeah, if using a fire extinguisher, if you know how to do it, and you can safely do it. I mean, if it's like a trash can fire and a little wastebasket, you can probably do that safely with a fire extinguisher. If an entire room is engulfed in flame, you're not gonna be fighting it with a fire extinguisher, believe me.
So
So,
what you say, sweep?
Sweep.
sweep,
Like squeeze it with.
sweep back and forth.
Back and forth.
You're gonna pull the pin, aim it at the base of the fire, squeeze the trigger, and sweep back and forth.
Does everyone have one of these too? 'Cause I think these are some of the questions, if I remember, that are on
Yeah.
this part.
Yeah,
All right, if it's faded or it's not readable, let me.
yeah, you got another one?
Okay.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, B2, we'll get to it.
Do you know where to find SDS?
In the office. It said located in EBS office.
Usually the SDS is kept in the environmental services aids. They say closet, we don't keep them in the closet. You got enough stuff in your closet. They're on I2 electronically, so you can get them on the floor on I2, or you can get them in the office. We have hard copies of them. We used to keep them up in the closets, but it, you know, you don't have enough room in your closets for a big binder, you know? Okay, the importance of PPE. What does PPE stand for?
For protective, personal protective equipment.
Right. And why do we wear it?
It's to protect ourselves and the others.
Yeah. Minimize exposure to workplace injuries and illness. So the answer in the blank there, it is to equipment worn to minimize exposure. I mean, there's never 100% that you can't be exposed, but it minimizes it. All right. All right, finally, what does HIPAA stand for?
Hasn't that got something to do with personal?
Okay.
Health and Protocol Accountability Act.
So the Health Blank Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, which protects patient privacy. It's the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. It deals with patients' privacy, meaning like, you know, protected health information and that kind of thing. It also deals a lot with standardized billing. That's why the health insurance piece falls in there. So that everyone needs to get, if you ever go to the doctor, or you go to a surgeon, or you go to, you know, a hospital, you'll notice that when you get your bill in the mail, they all look about the same. They all look very, very similar because they all have to contain certain information and have to be very clear. That all came about with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, because what was happening was different companies, different hospitals were sending out very confusing bills to people. And then when they didn't pay it, they were sending them to collections and everything else saying, well, you didn't pay your bill. And people were like, well, I didn't understand I owed anything. So now insurance bills and that kind of thing all have to be in a standard format. So that's part of that HIPAA as well, which also deals with protecting your privacy as a patient. Okay. Okay. So this is just some review, and then we're done with 7, and we're moving on to 8.
All right.
Wow.
Wow. You can get it.
Yeah. 4 commonly missed cleaning tasks. Or 4 commonly missed. Yeah.
Remember, what did you circle?
Oh, yeah, the pipes underneath the sink,
Yeah.
the mirror.
The vent.
Yeah.
The
There's
vent.
some vents.
The wall beside the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the corner of the wall.
Okay. What are some ways you can show that you respect diversity?
To show diversity.
Respect, show that you respect
Remember we watched the video?
Oh, yes, we did.
Wave, giving people a wave of the hand.
Gestures.
Use some gestures or cues that don't require, you know, language for people who English isn't their first language, okay? What else?
Yeah, we just said to use your hand,
I think it's really important to understand that everyone who comes to work here comes to work here, you know? They're not people that don't come here to work. They're not people that are here to do a bad thing. So understanding that everyone who comes here is here for the same reasons you are, and regardless of where they came from and where their, you know, what their nationality or origin is, they're all here to do a job and they want to be here just like you do. So respecting that, understanding that, they're here to work with you and help, if that means we have to explain things in a little different way or come up with some different training tools or things like that to access people who may learn in a different way. Those are ways we can show respect for diversity, for people's diversity, by making sure that they understand they're welcome, they're wanted, and they're going to be here, welcome to come and work with us.
Welcome and they want it.
Yeah. How can you show sensitivity to a patient in pain? So patients in pain, how can we show sensitivity to them?
Get the nurse, if they're in pain.
But we still have to do our work. You think of patients in pain, do we want to be like banging stuff around in the room for a half an hour? Yeah. Quickly, quietly, be aware of any noises in the hall that might bother them, ask if they want their door closed, see if there's anything we can do for them. Just be courteous. Describe how you can impact patient surveys. How can you impact patient surveys?
Doing my job.
Right. And what's your job?
Yeah, disinfecting and keeping it clean, yes,
Perfect.
yes.
You can impact surveys by keeping rooms clean
Yeah.
and by helping to create a comfortable environment for patients. And then where can you find the dwell time for the chemical you're using? Safety data sheet, typically on your little cheat sheet on your badge, you can definitely find it there. Or you can ask a manager. And on the product label. What does HIPAA stand for? You're never gonna remember the whole acronym, but it's the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA.
You guys want me to write it on the board?
Okay, yeah, please.
It's on the,
Oh, it is?
it's on the page before.
Health insurance, portability.
Oh,
It's
it
an
is.
easy reference. point.
Yeah, it's right here, yeah, it's here, it's on here.
I don't
I
get
don't know
it.
why.
I mean, I got it, but I don't, I forgot how to look for it.
Okay,
The page, they ask you questions right next to it.
Yeah.
we're gonna move to module 8. So
I see it right
we'll
here.
get through module 8.
2
One piece.
Mhm.
Okay, so module 8, we're gonna boogie through this because it's common area cleaning, and there's a lot of things that we don't have to do the review, so that's gonna save us some time. So why don't you go to, we just did, okay, we're gonna do some common areas and some situations. So page 8.4 in your book.
One eight.
So you got a HIPAA thing right there on page 4 at the top. You can just highlight it with your nose.
Yeah, that's a good idea, but I wrote it down, I found it.
Okay, so 8.4. So as you can see from our map here, we're moving to module 8. We're coming around the corner, around the horn. We only got a couple left after this.
Okay.
So we're gonna talk a little more about Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Okay, if a stranger came up to you on the street and asked you where you lived, what you weighed, what your ATM password is, how much you made per year, what would you tell the stranger? Would you tell them that?
No.
No, probably not, right? You're not gonna tell them your ATM password. Okay, now what if you accidentally overheard a family member telling his or her spouse that information? Would you feel like that information was yours to share?
No.
No, exactly.
No.
So privacy concerns are all around us, all right? Did you know that a patient's health information is protected by law?
Yes.
All right, it's not just a nice thing to do, it's actually protected by law. So HIPAA, you're on page 8.4 right now.
Yeah, see, it's important.
8.4. The first 3 pages are a review of the last section.
Oh, okay.
So we're not gonna review, we just finished the last section. 8.4.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so HIPAA, we just said what it stands for, okay, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. All right, it protects the use, transfer, and disclosure of health information. You're not gonna remember what it stands for specifically, but it's very important that you understand how important your actions are as they apply to HIPAA. Okay, you're gonna see some common examples of things that could violate HIPAA rules if handled incorrectly. Okay, so these are all between 8.4 and 8.7 in your guide, where you should, we're gonna see the images and take some notes, all right? So, in the photo you see here, Okay, there's a healthcare professional, a healthcare services, environmental services technician looking at a patient's medical chart and taking a photo of it with her personal cell phone. Is this a HIPAA violation?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay. What should you do if you find a patient paper chart open on a table in a patient's room you're about to clean?
I always turn it over. I turn it over.
Yeah? Turn it over is a good thing. Giving it to the nurse and saying, come and get this and take this away from me because I don't want any part of it. Cleaning around it, but flipping it over probably so others can't see it is a good thing. Okay? Again, reminder, all patient information is confidential. You might run into situations where you're on open charts, and at that point, it's your responsibility to kind of make the information not viewable by others. Okay? All right, next example. You see the ES worker has come across an unattended computer. Gee, we never see these, huh? This never happens. Where a patient's medical chart is on the screen. Is this a HIPAA violation? Yes, it is. What should you do if you find a patient's medical information visible on an unattended computer in a hallway?
I always take it off. I mean, I don't take it off, but I'll push it to where it goes to blank.
Okay, so you like minimize it or lock it up. Okay. What else? Anything else you could do?
Let him know the nurse.
Yeah, let the
Yeah,
nurse
that's
know. Yeah.
Mhm.
So notify your supervisor, notify the nurse, minimize the screen or turn the screen off, secure the computer if possible, are some good answers. So again, it's our job as hospital workers to control that if we can. This includes computers, mobile devices, USB drives, anything that, also a reminder that you should never post pictures of patient information, patients, or with the workplace on social media. So when people come to me and say, hey, I took a picture of this, you should not be taking pictures in and around the hospital because you could accidentally get patient information within the view of your picture. And you definitely should not be posting things on social media about anything that happens in the workplace. These are all HIPAA violations, and Roswell and personally, you're subject to fines and getting a lot of trouble for that, for sure. Okay, next on your page 8.6. In this example, the healthcare environmental services worker is on a public elevator where a doctor and nurse are discussing the diagnosis and care of the patient in room 401. Is this a HIPAA violation, even if the ES technician doesn't know or doesn't repeat the information?
Yeah.
Yeah, healthcare workers should not be discussing private information or private patient care in a public elevator. So what would you do about the situation? It's a tricky one.
It is
It's not tricky, it's sticky.
When you say it's a doctor, then it's something like.
Ask them to
I don't
stop
know.
talking.
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly ask them, hey, you know what, I really don't want to be privy to this information. Could you wait to discuss the patient until I'm not here? You could say, you know, it's not appropriate to discuss patient information in a public place. Or you can inform your supervisor. I've had people come to me and say, hey, this doctor's all up there in, you know, in this area and squawking about this, that, or the other thing, and talking about patient's diagnosis and everything else. And what I typically would do with that information, if I had a relationship with that doc, I would talk to them about it, or I would go to someone in medical staff or go to someone who's their boss and say, you may want to get this person, they're setting us up for a liability. You know, you're not getting someone in trouble per se, but you're also going to help Roswell not get in trouble.
And I hear stuff like I could be in the room cleaners and the doctors or somebody come there and I already be in there and the patient asks you some questions and it'd be personal stuff they be talking about. I
Yeah.
might be in the bathroom just cleaning. I'm like,
Things you
man,
don't want to know.
I was already in here though, but they talking like, you know, I ain't here, so, you know, I don't pay no attention. I just do what I do. And then I try to leave out when it just start getting a little too deep. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the good things to know is that, number one, the fact that they're having a conversation in an elevator about a patient, the patient in 401, the fact that they've identified the patient is the problem. If they were just talking about some random patient, they didn't identify the person, the diagnosis, any of the actual identifiers, so they were just talking about a general case, and you didn't know who they were, where they were, what about them. The fact in this case is that they're saying it's the patient in room 401. They're identifying which patient it is. That's what makes it a HIPAA violation. The other thing is, if we are exposed to HIPAA, the first rule is try to make sure it doesn't happen. try to walk away, try to close the door, try to ask people not to discuss it in front of you. And if you absolutely can't do that, the buck stops with you. You know, the information you're privy to needs to stop with you. You don't take it to the cafeteria and talk to your buddies about it. You don't go home and tell your family about it. I mean, I see people around here all the time that are friends of mine, that are people that live in my neighborhood, whatever. I don't go home and tell my wife and my family, hey, I saw so-and-so at Roswell today, because that's a violation. That's a violation of the trust that we have as healthcare workers to be talking about that. And inevitably, 6 months later, my wife will say, well, oh, did you know so-and-so has breast cancer? Yeah, I kind of knew, but I can't talk to you about it because I see them in the hospital setting. I can't be spreading that information amongst my family and friends, okay? So when you get this information, you're privy to it because you work here, but the patient has the right to privacy, and you just got to let it stop with you, okay? The next one is, in this example, the ES worker sees a patient's records in the trash. Is this a HIPAA violation?
Yeah.
Okay, would your answer change if the ES worker is only planning on disposing of the trash properly?
No. I
So
was still worried my
what do you
stuff
think
is
is,
out there.
what do you think is properly, I guess?
Oh, yeah, that all depends on
Yeah,
the
so,
stuff.
I mean, your answer is correct. It is a HIPAA violation. Patient records should not be thrown in the regular clear trash, okay? So even though the intention of the ES worker is, I'm not gonna view it, I'm not gonna look at it, I'm gonna throw it away, bottom line is these records should have been shredded before they were disposed of. They should have gone in the PHI bin, and they should be shredded before they're disposed of. Because even if you put this in the regular trash, it gets to the dump and then the bag rips open and it's flying around, you know, Niagara Falls and someone finds it. Like, you know, we can't have this stuff getting out there like that. So it should be shredded before it leaves here. So if you find patient files in the trash, what do you do?
Put it in a medical record.
Yeah, either put it in the PHI, ask the nurse manager, hey, I found this stuff, it shouldn't be in here. I always find it a good idea to let the nurse manager know, because that's her staff doing things, or his staff doing things that are inappropriate with medical information. They need to have that brought to their attention, that it's not allowed to be thrown in there too. Otherwise, they'll just keep doing it. Okay? All right, so again, some important points to remember, a few things that are situational that we come across probably almost every day. In your current roles, HIPAA is here to ultimately protect the patient. Just like you wouldn't want a stranger to over here and share your personal information, the same goes for patients at our facility, okay? So highlight some of the things you learned both based on what you saw. So you can do those notes on 8.8. So what are some of the things we talked about? What about patient files? What do we know about them?
They're private and they shouldn't be
Yeah,
exposed.
patient files are private. They should never be left out or viewed. So patient files are private. If you want to write that down, great. If not, you just got to remember it. What else? What else did we learn here?
And we learned, if you see something important, put it in the bin.
Yeah, make sure you dispose of records properly. Make sure they get shredded before they get just thrown out. Oh, that's a good one. What about with the doctor and the aide or the nurse talking about a patient in the elevator? What do we learn about that? Yeah, go to your supervisor or
Link it out.
yeah, or tell them, listen, you know, just wait till I get off the elevator. I'm getting off on the next floor. Let me get out of here before you talk much more about this patient. It's okay. If you see something, say something. All right.
Mhm.
Just like you hear all the time. See something, say something. All right. Okay. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about some interactions with patients. Okay. Now that we have both basic understanding of what HIPAA is and the legal importance of HIPAA privacy, there's also situations we run into where someone might just need privacy. What would you do if you were faced with this situation? A patient is in the staff elevator, accompanied by medical staff. So the patient's in the elevator, they're transporting this patient somewhere. Oh, door opens, this is what you see, what do you do?
Oh, I wait for the next elevator.
Exactly. Always let the patient have the respect and privacy, okay? We can wait 3 minutes for the next elevator, or 5 minutes, or whatever it takes. okay? But always give the patient the privacy and respect of riding alone. I mean, it's a little bit different in some of our clinics where, like say CSC building, where everyone kind of rides up and down together because there's only so many elevators and there's clinic space mixed with business space. But if there's ever a choice between, you know, if someone's in a stretcher, someone's ambulating, someone's, you know, at a point where there's too many people in the elevator, always err to the patients. Always let the patients go first. Okay? And again, it's not just for comfort, it's also for privacy. Maybe that patient needs to talk about something with the nurse or the doctor that they're with, you know, and they can do it when you're not in the elevator. Okay. Another one is you're about to clean a room. You go in and you hear the shower running when you walk in. What do?
Step out.
What's that?
Step out.
Step out, yeah, step out and come back. You know, you don't want to be busting in on someone in the shower. You don't want someone doing that to you, you know? So, and nor do you want to be in their room cleaning and then have them come out of the shower and you probably scare the bejesus out of them, okay? So.
Haphazard.
Haphazard,
Yeah. Today.
All right, you enter a room after knocking and a doctor is examining a patient. What do?
I walk out too. I don't stay in the room. He's examining the patient.
Yeah, I mean, these are areas where privacy is a concern. You're not necessarily going to come across patient information, but just give the patient the privacy and the dignity and the respect. I mean, one thing, you know, when you go into a hospital, you give up basically all control, you know? You have to eat when they tell you to eat. You have to walk when they tell you to walk. You have to sleep when they tell you to sleep. When they tell you you're going for a test, you go for a test. You basically give up all control of what you do in your normal everyday life. So anytime we can give that patient back a little bit of privacy, control, dignity, we want to make sure we're doing that. Okay. All right, so go to page 8.1 in your guides. And we're gonna 8.1 or 8. I'm sorry, 8.10. 8.10. Yeah, 8.10. And we're going to put these situations in order of priority. Okay, so the first 1 being the top priority and 4 being the lowest priority. But sometimes we do have to prioritize and we have to think, what will we do first? What should we do first? Okay, so you know, we all have days when we're like, you know, pulled in 1,000 different directions. But figuring out the best way to prioritize, the best way to kind of do the important things first and save the other things till later, you know, is really important in what we do from a service perspective and just as a privacy and dignity respect perspective. So here's the scenarios. All right, there's 4 scenarios. First one is a patient in a wheelchair saying, "Excuse me, can you help?" Second one, a linen cart's left unattended in the hallway. Third one, a spill on the floor that a nurse asks you to address. And fourth one is a nurse saying, "Can you please do me a favor?" Okay, so take 2 or 3 minutes, put them in order, 1 through 4, with 1 being the top priority, 4 being the least high priority.
Okay. I go through this a lot, so that's why I figured it out.
Yeah, I
Because I
think
go
it's
through it a
not.
lot. So actually, I do 4 or 5 things at one time.
Different. I have the menu pulled up.
Okay, we all set?
Mhm.
Okay, so how do we do? What do you have as your number 1 priority, Kapil?
I spill on the floor.
You have the spill as the number 1 priority, okay. Anybody else have something different as a number 1 priority? Becky, what do you
I
have?
had, patient in the wheelchair, excuse me, can I help?
Okay, patient in the wheelchair is number 1.
That's what I have.
Okay, and what do you have as your number 2 priority, Mom?
The spill.
Spill was the second one?
Yes.
Okay.
that was the second
So
one.
between the patient and the spill, those are the two top ones that we had. Okay, what was the third priority most people had?
Can you do me a favor?
The nurse is the third one? Anybody have anything different as their third?
It's just sitting in the hallway, really. It's unattended.
Yeah, it shouldn't be there, but it's not really hurting anybody.
It's not hurting anybody.
Yeah. It shouldn't be there long term, but it's not like ruining anybody's day. Okay, so the answer they give, let's see if they give the list.
Might be the spill like that, then.
Okay,
Yeah, I didn't
so
see the spill.
the first thing you would do is a large spill cleanup. Okay, I think the fact that it says it's so in here it says large spill cleanup.
It just says
It
A.
says
It just says a spill on the floor, right? But they're saying the spill cleanup would be first, okay? And again, the important thing is this represents a real safety issue. Someone could slip, someone could fall, someone could hurt themselves. The patient in the wheelchair needs help, but chances are, from the way they're saying it, they're waving you down saying, hey, excuse me, can you help me? They're not like in desperate need of medical help. They might need a blanket. They might
One
need,
second, let me get this
right.
spill.
Hey, I've got a spill here. I've got to get cleaned up before someone slips. Always go safety first, okay? Because in the time you go to walk over and see what that patient needs, someone can hit that water and wipe out, and then they really need help, all right? So large spill cleanup first. Next priority, patient in wheelchair. Okay, patients always come first unless there's some safety issue that's gonna create a new patient. Third would be the nurse's request. I think you all got that. And then because, we wanna help our internal customers as well. And then finally, the unattended linen cart. Linen cart, sure shouldn't be just like sitting out in the hallway. Some places we have them in the hallway because they don't fit anywhere else, but it shouldn't be out in the hallway. But they're not necessarily like bringing the whole house down. That's not mission critical. It's not gonna ruin the whole day of the hospital by having one linen cart in the hallway. Okay, so safety always the first priority. Patients are right up there, kind of 1A and 1B, and then internal customers, and then inanimate objects after that. Okay? So, in the previous activity, which was this ordering thing, I can go to 8.11. You prioritize different daily activities. You also recognize that a spill on the floor can pose a safety hazard and should be cleaned up properly before dealing with a patient question or staff request for help. So what's the process for cleaning up a spill on the floor? What do you do first?
Wet floor sign.
Wet floor sign, yeah. Sometimes there could be something you do even before a wet floor sign, because you may not have a wet floor sign. What would you do if you didn't have one?
I would put a towel or something down there.
Okay, what if you're in a hallway and you're just in the service hallway and there's just nothing around? There's no towels, there's no.
It says stay in there.
Okay. You could stand there, or you could grab someone else who happens to be walking by and saying, hey, can you just stand by this spill for 1 minute? I'm gonna grab a wet floor sign, I'll be right back. That's a really good habit to do. I do that actually all the time. Hey, can you just stand here by this for 1 second? I'm gonna run to that closet, get a sign, and I'll come right back, and then you relieve them of their duties. And that gives you time to get the right tools to clean it up. Okay? So you definitely wanna mark the floor with a wet floor sign, okay? And you can write these down. Mark the floor with a wet floor sign, use standard precautions, because you don't know what the spill is. Looks like it could be water, looks like maybe some milky substance, could be, who the heck knows what that spill is. So standard precautions, make sure you have gloves and hand hygiene. Identify what the spill is, because we're gonna clean it differently if it's water versus blood, all right? So identify what the spill is. Make sure you're wearing the proper PPE, which would be in most cases, gloves. In some cases, again, make sure you have the right footwear and all that kind of thing in so you don't slip on the spill. Properly and safely clean the spill. Again, the spill might just take a couple paper towels. It might be small, it might truly be a spill, or it could be something that requires a mop, or it could be something that requires an auto scrubber or a wet vac. Okay, so some of that depends on the size and scope of the spill. And then once the area is dry, you're going to remove the wet floor sign. Okay? But don't just walk away, leave it, and go to your area, get there and call your supervisor and say, hey, yeah, I walked by a spill 5 minutes ago down in the service hallway. Take care of it right away. Okay. Next, next thing, okay? What should you do when a patient in a wheelchair has a request? What should you do? They have a request for you. Hey, excuse me, can you help me? Yeah. Greet them. Hey, how are you? I'm so-and-so from Environmental Services. Can I help you with something? What can I do for you? Okay? Greet them, acknowledge them. So you can write these down if you like. You're gonna greet. This is on, yeah, that was Thunder. 8.12. You're gonna greet or acknowledge the patient, all right? Gonna reinforce their request, okay, and make sure you understand what they're asking for. Make sure, hey, is this what you're looking for? Is this what you're asking for? Determine if it's an immediate need or if it can be dealt with later. Is it something like, oh, I need a blanket, I'm really cold. Oh, okay, I can get you a blanket, that takes 2 seconds. Or is it, hey, I need someone to refinish my floor in my room. That's something that takes a little bit of planning, takes a little bit of doing, and would have to be arranged with nursing and all that. So determine if it's something you can handle right away, or if it's something that needs to be kind of kicked up to your supervisor and planned for. And then finally, show respect for their dignity and disability. So don't just say, they don't know what they're talking about. They're a patient. They're all hopped up on painkillers. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay, show respect for them. Understand that they're expressing a need, and we need to try at a minimum to mitigate that need or to help them with whatever's going through their mind right now. Okay. Any questions on that? Again, you all do a great job of taking care of our patients and customers, so I'm not really worried about any of this stuff. Okay, next scenario. Okay, nurse flags you down and wants to request something from you. How would you handle this situation?
Yeah, I'll probably tell her, give me a minute and then I'll see what she needs.
Yeah, see what she needs, confirm what they're asking for. What do you need? What can I help with? If it's a high priority, you're gonna complete it right away. Okay, if it's something that, you know what, I absolutely need to have a blanket to go on this patient that's going down in a wheelchair. Transport's on their way, can you grab me a blanket? I can't leave the patient, or something like that. Something we can do quick and easy and right away.
Mine is normally, can you go get the Hoyer? Do you know where the Hoyer is? Nobody knows where nothing is on this place but me.
And it's always in the same place, because you know where it is.
Right, and I even show them, but you still do it to me all the time.
Because you're a very helpful person.
And I'm gonna go get it.
So if it's a lower priority request, let the nurse know when you plan on completing a test. So, hey, our HIPAA bin's getting close to full. Can you empty it, or can you call down and have somebody get it emptied?
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
somebody
you
say
can
that
do
to me.
that, but it's not like you take care of your patient rooms first. It's not gonna change the world if they have to wait a half hour for that. And then if there's something that needs documenting or something that you need to jot down, hey, the nurse told me I'm not supposed to go in that room and clean it today because the patient's at end of life or something like that, which we do get.
Comfort care.
Yeah, just mark a little note on your sheet that you bring down at the end of the day, or we'll have a capacity once we get TDSS for you to just send a little note saying, hey, I can't do this room.
Do we refuse? What was this selection say?
I'm not sure, but you can just write it. You can just tell your manager at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah, or like you said, comfort care, that's a great way to write it.
Yeah, comfort care,
Yeah.
Okay.
or sometimes I'll phrase it end of life or EOL or something like that. But yeah, comfort care is fine. Just make a note. They ask you not to clean it. Okay, finally, in this scenario, the linen hamper is left sitting out in the hallway. Okay, what should we do?
It's really not our responsibility.
Yeah, it really isn't here. The key thing is the linen hampers are not supposed to be sitting out in the hallway. They're really supposed to be either in the patient room or in a security area. Sometimes we are allowed to tuck them if they fit in the little area by the handset. Yes, because that's not right in the walkway. Okay, it's kind of out, it's in the alcove.
Because the patients be walking around, I be trying to give them room to walk around with their paws sometimes.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's responsible for moving stuff, but I usually the one on my floor that keep everything out in the area, because
Yeah,
like
me
at
too.
6 West, if you go over there sometimes, it's just crowded beds by the doors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't nobody straighten up over here, but
No.
I do it on my side, but the housekeeper on the other side don't do it because he don't know. I guess it ain't his job really to do it, but he just do the cleaning, but I try to keep the area.
Well, you
like,
take
I
real
do the
ownership of
beds.
your unit. Well,
Yeah, so.
and it's everyone's responsibility to keep the hallways clear, again, for safety issues, for people that are walking around. We got patients that do lap after lap after
Yeah.
lap.
Yes.
Keep the facility organized, keep the supplies where they belong and accessible only to the proper staff, and to avoid any violations that could come up with the survey visits. Okay?
So
All
just
right.
move it, that's what you're saying,
Yeah,
move it.
just get it out of the way, get it out of the hall,
Okay,
or bring it to someone's attention who's supposed to do it. Hey,
okay.
I noticed there's a whole bunch of linen hampers, we need to get out of the hall. All right, so 8.15. Yeah, we're cooking along here, good. I want to make sure we didn't get run out of time.
Oh, yeah.
We're good.
That was funny.
Okay, so, yeah, you're on 8.15, and we're talking a little bit about common area cleaning. So we talked earlier, it's common to use different cleaning techniques in different areas of your house. You might use stainless steel cleaner on your kitchen sink, or glass cleaner on glass, and you would treat a spot differently in your house or car than you would general cleaning. So cleaning and disinfecting in public areas is also very important, just as in patient care areas. Frequently touched surfaces such as elevator buttons, tables, chair arms, drinking fountains, doorknobs, push plates, and more in common areas are places where pathogens love to hang out, and they are definitely sources of contamination. One of the things we did early on in COVID is we got approval to bring in some high-touch cleaning. So we have some of those contractors who come in for a couple hours a day and go to the lobby, and they'll wipe the elevator buttons, and they'll wipe the door
Oh, yeah,
handles,
I've seen
and they'll
that.
wipe the waiting room
Yeah, what
chairs.
happened to them?
They're still here.
Oh, okay.
They're still here. They do mostly the main lobby and some of the waiting areas, the busier waiting areas and stuff like that. So, and again, that was just an added thing for visibility, but also to make sure during COVID that we were really getting those high touch surfaces in the public areas. Okay?
But one thing I know is they might just, the thing down, they never went the whole thing out, it's just, I noticed that, it's just because I'm being in the lobby, especially would have been this day. I just see it all the time, I'm like, really, what?
I mean, they're really focusing on the high touch surfaces, so when people really touch way back here.
No, I'm still,
They usually
but
touch
then,
like
yeah,
that.
I know, but, yeah, but, I'm not like, no.
But what if you seen the spill back there and they did all that cleaning, that spill still back
That can
there?
happen. Again, a lot of this stuff is human, you know,
Yeah.
we expect everyone to do a detailed
Yeah.
job, but everyone doesn't think like we do,
Yeah.
That's why I was like, it wouldn't work for me, but, you know.
okay, so on
Okay.
8.15 in your 8.15 in your participant guide, there's
Mhm.
a supply and tool list of AHE approved items. So do you know what cleaning supplies and tools are needed to clean the common areas? Are there additional tools you would put on your cart for common area cleaning that you don't use in a patient area? So work individually, check off the items on your checklist that you think apply mainly to common areas, and we'll give you about 5 minutes to do that.
Common areas?
So common areas, like if you were working as like the lower tech and you weren't going into patient rooms,
Or your
Or-
solarium.
your solariums, things you would need on your cart for common areas. Just check those off.
Okay, common areas I would need.
Wowza. Okay, on a minute. Checking off those things you would use in common areas. Okay, when you're finished with that, go back and next to where you checked, put a star or an asterisk or something next to those items
Mm-hmm.
that you would need to have for a patient room, but not necessarily for a common area. Or that would be a common area one, but anything you would use in a patient room that's on here.
Oh, are we still on this page?
Yeah.
For a patient,
Yeah.
now we
So
do
we
a
put,
patient
we
one?
checked the box to see which ones would be in a common area cleaning.
Okay, this is
So you can go back and circle or put a star next to the
Okay,
ones that you would use in a patient room.
in the patient, okay.
Okay? And when you're done. Good. Okay, so why don't we go through then and look at some areas, look at ones that are common area specific. What are ones that don't have both marks? Ones that just have the checkbox for common area. What's one thing that would just be used in a common area?
Color-coded microfiber cleaning cloth.
Yeah, and we don't really, because we don't necessarily always
But it
use our
says
wipes.
disposable wipes.
Yeah, we use wipes a lot of places, but we're using the bucket and the cleaning cloths more in the public areas. What else? Anything else? Just for common areas.
I said the broom, the toy broom, the nylon toy broom.
What do you pick up your dust with, when you dust mop?
Yeah, the broom and duster.
Yeah, you have one of those, so that's used in a patient area, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that would be both. We're looking for one that would just be used in a common area only. So it wouldn't have the the check mark and the star.
I did have to check my chemistry.
Yeah. So which ones do you have that don't? Which ones do you have that just have the box checked?
Okay, I got the HEPA filter low vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, typically you're not gonna need that in a patient room, right?
So, but that would be in a,
But it would be in a common area that you need a vacuum cleaner, yeah. Because we don't have carpeting in our
I
patient
said a
rooms.
wet floor sign, I know that's in both.
That's in both, yeah.
A putty knife?
We use
Yeah,
that in the
I think you
hospital.
use that both.
Oh, okay.
I
that
mean,
would be both.
everything is just about both. Like if the
Yeah.
common room got a floor,
Something.
if it got a floor instead of a
It's
rug,
gonna be-
then
yeah.
that's like both. And if it got a bathroom, then it's both, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but most patient rooms aren't gonna have a carpet, so I think the
Yeah,
vacuum
most of them
cleaner is
don't.
definitely something.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you would use just in a common area and not in a patient room?
The checklist and a pen?
Yeah, I mean, the checklist and a pen, we could have checklists for either size, but we don't really use checklists in common areas. We just give you a duty list that shows the areas that you clean.
I was gonna say the high dusting pad, the sticky, just
Okay.
replace that when you're dusting.
Where are you seeing that? What is that?
It says, microfiber high dusting tool that replaces pad.
Yeah, I mean, we
Is that
don't,
the sticky?
well, the microfiber dusting tool is the green sleeve that goes
Oh,
over.
yeah, you said
That's
that.
technically the microfiber pad,
Not
dusting pad.
something over.
We just happen to put stuff over it. You don't have to put that stuff over it, but if you don't, then you just have to wash it a lot. All right, so we just put the sticky stuff over it because it attracts a lot of dust, and then we don't have to keep washing the pad covers. All right, so patient room specific, any that you've only checked off for patient rooms?
Oh,
Flat
the mop. Yeah.
Flat mops, yeah, here we
Or
use
the
the flat
Johnny
mops.
mop.
Yeah, I mean, the Johnny mop you might need for a common area if there's a bathroom,
Mhm.
but in a patient room, you're gonna need that for the
Yeah,
bathroom.
that's what I got, yeah.
Yeah. Wet floor sign?
Yes.
What about the personalized EBS calling card that says this room is cleaned by?
Yeah, that's for a room.
That's mainly, I would think, for a patient room, but could you use it in a common area? I mean, I've had people use our little post-it while you were out cards in an office area.
Yes, in offices. that's
When
what-
people are
I
like
know what
freaked
they're
out
talking
saying,
about.
oh, nobody cleaned my office, and I'll have them go in and make sure they put a sign in there to shield them, yes, we came in and cleaned.
CFB was doing a lot of that.
Some of the other ones, I think, really like toilet seat covers, again, if you're in a bathroom, if you have a bathroom in a public area, we might have you use, seat covers. But yeah, an awful lot of them, apply to both, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so next section is talking about also common area cleaning. And we're going into a little grid here where we're going to decide whether we're going to resolve an issue or report an issue. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So common areas are used by a lot of people, obviously, which means a lot of wear and tear, accidents can occur. But think about the way you enter and exit your home. Is the door handle and the rug on the floor and the entryway more dirty than other areas of your house?
Yeah, mine's probably would be.
Yeah, it probably is, because it's used more frequently.
Mhm.
You know, we use the front door handle of our house way more than we use any other door handle, because everyone uses that one. You know, everyone might not use the basement door handle or the bedroom door handle, but everyone uses that front door handle. So this is true for common areas too, like a lobby or a waiting area. When you walk into a common area, you immediately start cleaning, or do you take a few seconds to assess the state of the room
Actually,
first?
assess first.
Definitely have to assess.
Yeah, see
Yeah,
what's
gotta
worse.
see what's worse.
Am I gonna need to sweep, vacuum, what do I need?
Start at it, yeah.
Mhm.
So if you look at the picture on the screen, at a distance, everything looks pretty good, right?
Mhm.
If you look closer, you're gonna notice some things that are different.
Mhm.
All right, so there might be like some wear on the floor in a traffic pattern. You might see, you know, something, whatever the heck that is, thrown on the carpet, okay?
Mhm.
Gum on the carpet. I think they're saying that's gum. Yeah, that's a big wad of gum. Holy moly. Spots on the couch, you know, see, you can see those spots on the couch
Yeah,
when you get
I
up
see it.
closer,
Mhm.
okay? And damage to furniture.
Oh,
Okay, when you get up closer, you see that stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go through a little checklist here, and we're gonna decide whether we're going to resolve the situation. And it's on 8.16, you're gonna write
Report
these
it
in.
or-
Resolve
or
it,
both.
report it, or both. Okay? So,
definitely.
what items that we just looked at can be resolved?
The floor, we could do something with the carpet.
Yeah.
We could remove this stuff off the carpet.
Let's go back and start. So, the floor, the scuffs on the floor, can that be resolved, reported, or both?
It can be resolved.
Restore.
Resolved?
Mhm.
Okay. Any other ones that can be resolved?
The gum on the carpet?
Gum on the carpet? Resolved, okay. Write that under resolve.
And,
Stained couch, spots on
Stained-
couch?
resolved, yeah, I guess.
Well, do you have the equipment always to resolve that?
No.
So you might wanna report that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a bigger project, something that we might schedule on an evening or a weekend or something like that. So that I would say report big spots on the couch. Unless you have the tools to fix it right then and there. What about this broken chair arm?
I'm reporting that.
Somebody can get hurt on that.
Yeah, you're gonna report that. But I would say, I mean, the spots on the couch, you might wanna put that under both, actually. Because if it's resolvable, you resolve it. If it's not, you would report it, okay?
Mhm.
Okay. And anything else? Like, how about a big stain on a carpet like this?
Report.
Yeah, you're probably gonna report that, because you don't necessarily have,
So, but you would.
you know, you don't necessarily have the equipment to do that. Okay. So on 8.17, now that you know what is your responsibility to resolve, okay, you know the proper ways to resolve while still cleaning the entire room. Okay, so work individually and look at those pictures on 8.17 and note the process you would take to clean the sections or resolve each issue. So if it's something you're gonna resolve or report, write that down and then say how. What are you gonna do? And we'll go around and ask. So why don't we do this? There's 4 of them and there's 5 of you. The couch spot, we said it could be either. So, Mo, you take the first one. Kapil, you take the second one with the stain on the couch, but take it as though you're gonna resolve it. Becky, you take the stain on the couch as if you're gonna report it, okay? Wanda, you take the gum, and Sharita, you take the scuffed up floor. Okay,
You said, now, which one I take?
you're gonna take the first one, the broken chair. Yeah. You're gonna report it. How are you gonna do that? What are you gonna do? Just write down what you're gonna do, and we're gonna go on and ask. Appeal, you got the stain on the couch, but you're gonna resolve it, meaning you're gonna fix it. Becky, you got the stain on the couch, but you're gonna report it. Wanda has the gum, and Sharita has the scuffs. Okay, we ready? So Mo, you got a broken chair arm on your couch in your waiting area. How are you gonna report this?
I just say broken wooden piece on right arm of chair.
Okay, and who are you gonna call with this? Or how are you gonna report it?
I'm reporting to the supervisor.
Okay, is there any other thing you could do
Um,
to report it? Who else could you report it to?
I mean, well, the people I don't know, I just put it to the supervisor.
I do it to my
Cause
secretary.
I don't know who else will handle it.
Secretary.
Okay.
Well, unless I can do the secretary, usually I make a call, that's why.
Yeah, they could put a
If it's
work
on my
order.
floor, they put the work area.
Okay. All right, excellent. Kapil, what about the stain on the couch? How are you gonna resolve that?
I will wipe down and make it dry. And
Okay.
If not, like I can see it and I will report.
Okay, if you could get it dry with just a towel or something like that. It might require additional cleaning with like an extractor or a upholstery tool. And if you didn't know how to do that, that's when you would report it. Or if you didn't have access to one of those machines, you would report it and have your supervisor.
We got a hell one, don't we?
Yeah, we have handheld ones, yeah. You could either have your supervisor show you how to do it, or they could get it scheduled for someone else to do it. Okay. But what we don't do is just walk by it and just ignore it, do something about it. Becky, what about reporting it, if you had to report it?
I would, contact, the secretary, and I would tell her there's a stain in the chair, it looks like it's an oil base.
Yeah,
I would give her a description.
good, yeah, that way they can put it on the work order and try to make sure whoever comes to take care of it brings the right equipment or the right solvent. Okay, excellent. Wanda, what about the gum on the carpet? How are you gonna take care of that?
So I reserve it with clean up with, there's, I don't know if in here they have it, but they have like something for remove. glue.
Yeah, like gum remover.
Yeah.
Like Goo Gone or something like that.
Yeah.
And
We also
then-
have a spray that freezes it.
Yeah, the freezer, so that's what
I
I'm
haven't
talking
seen
about.
that one ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
that's
have
what
it.
I'm talking about, they have the freezer and then.
Yeah, yeah, we have that spray.
Yeah, we had it.
Yeah, it freezes the gum and then you can kind of chip it off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and Sharita, how are you gonna handle the scuffs on the floor?
See, but when we looking at it, you saying scuffs, I don't know sure if it's scuffs or if it's
Dirt?
If it's dirt, so I was trying
High-
to clean it
high
first.
traffic?
If I couldn't get it off, especially to that backside, to the machine that I use.
Yeah.
But then if I couldn't, if it wouldn't come off, then I would report it.
Okay.
Because that means that it would have to be something else have to be done to remove it.
Yeah,
But I
perfect.
would definitely try to.
You
clean
take a
it.
run at it first and see if it comes off with the machine. If not, we gotta escalate.
So then I know that I have to do something else.
Yeah, oh, perfect. Again, the whole point of this is do something.
Yeah, right.
You know, we're not just gonna walk by it and wait for someone else to do it. We're gonna take action. We're either gonna report it or we're gonna resolve it, one or the other. If it's within our capabilities of equipment, knowledge, and time to get done, then we're gonna fix it. If it's not, then we're gonna report it, all right? So, section 8.18. You see this big nasty stain on this carpet.
Yeah.
Okay, so remember when cleaning in common areas, you're more likely to encounter carpet, because waiting rooms and things like that, more carpet. Use a low decibel vacuum with a HEPA filter to care for carpets in these areas. Pick up trash and loose debris before you start the vacuum, and ensure you pay special attention to carpet corners and edges so these areas are not skipped, okay? And my little text here says, not all spots are created equal. Before you can work on removing a spot, you kind of have to know what type of spot it is. And to Becky's point, is it like salad dressing? Is it soda? Is it just dirt? Is it coffee? What is it? So what kind of spot is it? Is it chemical based or food based? And then there are different cleaners and chemicals. We have kind of a multi-purpose spotter that we use that takes most things out, but not all. So it's important, obviously, to wear the correct PPE. So under 8.18, where it says, what would you need to know about a spot on a carpet? What do you need to know?
What type of spot it is.
What is it? Yeah, what caused it? It's also kind of good to know how long it's been there. Is it fresh? Did it just happen today? Or is it something that's been there for a month? Okay, and then of course you're going to follow your specific spot removal process before beginning it to determine the cleaning solution used, the length of time to soak it, and the elements required. Or the equipment required? Is it vacuumable? Is it something we need an extractor for, a handheld extractor unit or upholstery tool? What are we going to use to get it up? All right. So what's the process for spots you can't remove? Anybody know this? So we have a lot of them even still popping up where that tape that was put down during COVID is on the carpets and the little lines. What's our process if we can't get that out? Anybody know?
Do we remove it or do we take out a piece of the carpet and replace it?
Most of the carpets that are here at Roswell now are carpet tiles. They're squares of carpet. So if we can't get a spot out, they can pop that tile out and put a new one in. Yeah,
So they can replace it?
So they can replace it if we can't get the spot out. So the process for spots we can't remove is we put a work order into maintenance to have them replace the tile.
Well, what about the ones on the wall? Because that's what I'm having a problem
Well,
with.
that's not a carpet.
I know. But it's where the chairs go. and It's just
Yeah.
aggravating.
I
I
know.
think can we bring in paint and touch up?
No, because it's plastic. They're not gonna come out. We've tried everything to get those off too. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about from the recliners, right? The stuff off the wall. Yeah, there's not a lot we can do for that. We've tried a billion things. Okay, next we're going into 8.19, which is equipment safety. And then we're gonna bring this all home. So have you ever loaned someone something of yours and had it returned or broken or damaged without being told? I have. We all know accidents happen, but sometimes accidents are preventable. So it's important to be aware of the tools you're using and speak up if something is broken or damaged. So let's talk about equipment safety. You know what to do when you see something unusual, like a piece of equipment, frayed cord, broken plug. What do?
I report.
Yeah. Is it safe to use?
No,
No.
not
Okay.
frayed cord.
Okay, well, let's go through this little chart on 8.19 and let's make a mark. So vacuum has a frayed cord. Is it safe? Yes or no?
No.
Say no.
All right, so no. Do we fix it or do we report it?
We report it.
Okay, so put report. Write down report. I mean, if Bob was in the class, he would write fix because he fixes them.
Yeah, you would definitely.
Okay? Mop head is unusable. Sometimes we get those mop heads, they break, they snap, whatever, they're plastic, the end of the mop stick. It's unusable. Is that safe?
No.
Right, you're not gonna,
Scratch with it.
so do you fix it or report it?
I report it.
Yeah, usually you're gonna report it because otherwise you're gonna be trying to rig it up and we have new ones downstairs. So we're just probably gonna get you a new one. Okay, chemicals are left outside of the storage closet or cart. Is that safe? For chemicals to just be left out unattended?
No, because not unattended.
Right, no, it's not safe.
And you report it.
And would you report it or you fix it?
Yeah, I'm gonna report it.
Well, what if they're your chemicals?
Put them up. remove them.
Oh, I'm gonna fix it. I'm
You're gonna fix it.
remove them.
How are you gonna fix it?
I'm gonna remove them from there.
Yeah, you're gonna lock them up.
Knock them out.
Lock them in your cart, put them in your closet. That's all. Wet floor sign is left on a dry floor. Is this safe? Not really, because it's a tripping hazard now. Someone could trip in it and knock it over,
So
you
just
know,
remove
trip
it.
over it. So are you gonna fix it or report it?
Fix it.
Yeah, just fix it.
Just remove it, yeah.
Yep, so how are you gonna fix it?
Remove it.
Remove it.
Just remove it and put it where it belongs, in the housekeeping closet or in a place where it should be stored. A ground plug, that's the little third prong on an outlet. The ground plug is missing. Is that safe?
No.
No, but I see it a lot.
It happens a lot, because people yank the plugs out of the wall without pulling
I
the
know I
cord,
don't
whatever.
fix it, but I
So-
will report it.
Report
They
it.
report it, and that's basically report it, and then it gets fixed, okay?
Mhm.
All right, so not only can broken equipment be a safety hazard for you in your daily jobs, it can also be a safety hazard for those around you if it's not addressed properly. All right? So just some little stuff on safety. So we're gonna do a quick review, and then you're getting the heck out of here for the
We
day.
have to just pick though for lunch tomorrow before we get to heck out.
Yes, so don't leave until we pick lunch. So what does HIPAA protect?
The patient's.
This is 8.2. 8.2, write the stuff in. What does HIPAA protect? What'd you say, Becky?
I said, patient's records.
Patient records, patient privacy,
Patient
yes.
privacy.
Okay, number 2, are shredded documents a violation of HIPAA? Shredded
No,
documents? No, they are not. Right here, jump it.
8.2.
8.20.
Zero.
As you said it too, you just. Okay.
We're going in order, I'm not going backwards.
I know what you said.
You're going the wrong way.
8.2.
So it's no.
There you go, 8.20. How about that?
Okay, that's better.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, what does HIPAA protect? And we said it's patient privacy. And are shredded documents a violation of HIPAA?
You said no.
No. Because they're shredded. What do you do to what do you prioritize first? A spill on a floor in a hallway or a waiting room cleaning?
One seal.
There was
Spill.
spill on the hallway
Yeah,
floor.
the spill's always gonna be most important because we don't want to hurt somebody. We want to get it cleaned up, safety issue. What do you do with broken furniture in a waiting room?
Report it.
Report it. If it's dangerous, it's broken to the point where it's dangerous, remove it. You know, if the chair arm's broken to the point where someone's gonna get cut or hurt, remove it. You notice a room has a light bulb that isn't working, what do you do?
Report it.
Report it, yeah. A patient on a stretcher is currently in the staff elevator that you were waiting for, what do you do?
Wait for the other
To the
one.
next one, give the patient privacy. You hear a nurse talking about a patient's care in the break room, is this a HIPAA violation?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, it is. They shouldn't be talking about patient's care when others can overhear. Okay? All right, so we're gonna wrap up today there. Tomorrow we'll have 9 and 10 to get through. And 11's really just pop-up practice. So we'll get through 9 and 10 tomorrow. And again, it probably won't be a full day, but it'll be a good few hours and then we'll wrap up and you guys will be ready for your tests
All right, we're gonna vote. Do we want Salsaritas or Fat Bob
tomorrow for lunch.
tomorrow for lunch?
What's Salsaritas?
Salsaritas is like fresh Mex, like.
Oh,
tacos
yeah,
and
yeah, with the-
queso and guac.
That's light.
And then
that sounds
Fat Bob's, we could do like brisket, chicken, they've got mac and cheese, potatoes, corn.
Oh, that's
beans.
full.
So we can pick.
I feel full already.
What do you guys want? What do you guys want? You guys pick.
We got tacos.
All right, who wants Salsaritas?
I take Salsaritas.
All right,
It's light.
everybody good with that?
Comes with-
Ladies?